right. Let's see it. Let's see the chats. Let's see them working. Let's see if they're working. Roll call. Twitch, working. Rumble. Always sort of takes a second, but if I refresh the page, is that what I do? Still working this out. Oh, I do. Yep. Okay. F5. Got it. Okay. Refreshed. Rumble's working. YouTube. Taking its sweet time. YouTube's working. Better late than ever, YouTube. Better late than never. Okay, we're in 3 of the places. Let's see how chat is working. Let's go with the post. Good. And YouTube has... Where are my BTTV emotes? Riddle me that. Why aren't they on there? Man, YouTube has really lousy emotes. YouTube, you're bad. You know that? You're bad at stuff. Gang, YouTube is the next Facebook. It's gonna be for moms. This is silly. This is silly. Here, we'll do a chat. Well, there we go. Let's see if that works. All right, it worked. It went through. Okay. Why, hello, good sir. Good to see you, Pep. Welcome in. Hop Ride over in Rumble. Good to have you guys. Welcome, welcome. And greetings. Salutations. Oh, it's very good to have you in. It says a great deal about you. I'm glad to have you. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Okay, let me check some things. Let me make sure. Okay, that's working. I have not yet put the strictures in place, but I should get those ready. That's important. Raids are okay for now. So if someone really wants to bring their community to this ahead of lecture time, ahead of go time, that's something. That is something. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Turn that down a hair right there. Okay, we are ready. We are ready to disable the things. YouTube, Rumble, which alerts, we'll see. And that's pulled up for good measure. Okay. I think, by gosh, by golly, I think we're there. Greetings, salutations, all. It's very good to have you in. And I'm, what's the word I'm after? What's the word I'm after? Not excited. That's not the right word. I'm something. Leanne, I'm glad you set up the Barca Lounger earlier. Very fun. Very fun. Roll call indeed. Oh yeah, the command's not working? Oh well. So much for that. No commands. That's funny. That's... Oh well. There could be worse nights for that, but Mel, I appreciate having you in, and you trying commands means a lot. Wild, welcome in. Good to have you. Paw, welcome sir. Welcome, welcome. Spark, it's good to see you. Trying it off and then on again and then just throwing it out. Yeah, I have Spark. Yeah. Like Ron Burgundy. Not Ron Burgundy. Ron Swanson. Stupid. Ron Swanson, right in the dumpster. That's me. That's me. Thump. Hello, Thump. Good to see you. Good to see you, Rick. Welcome, sir. Tink, good to have you, my friend. Couldn't decide. Well, you can choose both. You can choose both. I am going to be personally using Rumble a lot more because, you know, they actually like care about their audience and YouTube doesn't. So I see which way the wind is blowing. Yep. Well. Okay. Let's see. Scroll bars. Hi Brad. Hi Brad. It's good to see you. Vamp. Hello, my legendary friend. No, you. No, you. Do you need to reauthorize stream elements? I don't think so. By what? Let's see. We'll refresh the whole affair. Nope. Nope, it's just being ridiculous. Lithium apparently was having some trouble tonight. None of his commands are working, Tink. Lithium's having a hell of a go of it. He said that his stream, a lot of stuff is failing, and none of his commands worked. And that was a couple hours ago, but maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Maybe they're disabled on purpose. Not all of them. Not all of them. Danny, it's good to see you, Danny. Cheryl can't sleep tonight. Oh, 3 fire trucks. Oh, 3 cops, 3 fire trucks, 3 ambulances, 1 helicopter, all past my house. But who's counting? But who's counting, right, Danny? I'm sorry to hear. Sorry to hear that you're being kept from your sleep, my friend. Sorry to hear it. Since Rumble just broke for me, over here I go. Huh. I didn't break. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, I don't think it broke. Let's see. I'm gonna match the Hot Bride's energy there with our cool Doge. Look at that dude. Look at that dude go. He do be bopping. Like, it's kind of a whole thing. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. I don't... Handcuff and bring them along, but only give key to them about 5 minutes in. Yeah. That's, yep. Exactly, Rick. That's, it's very danger. It's very danger. I gotta say, I'm dragging people around over here. Nuts. A jailbreak. That's right, Leon. That's exactly what's going on. Darth, welcome in. Good to have you. Way to tell me now about commands not working. Sorry, Darth. I'm gonna be lurking in chat, making sure I get the lecture material. Glad to have you. Chris, welcome in. I am still wowed by your ability to keep on coming back, Chris. Despite what you've seen, despite what you've heard, here you are. I can't remember though, Chris. Did we meet? I think we met you on Saturday night, right? Which means you haven't been here for a Gus talk yet. Never mind. I mean, I also am amazed that you stuck around for Tunic, but if you've never been here for a Gus talk, then there's still time yet for you to quit and walk away. For you to rage quit this community. I don't want any of you to, but yep. Wild! Thank you for the follow on Rumble. Means a heck of a lot. A heck of a lot. Hello everyone on Rumble. Hello. He's very good. They're working on new features all the time, so it's a little clunky right now. It's still new. It's still doing its thing. But despite that, they're getting some market cap. It's kind of crazy. Plus, it's got the Gatsby toast baked right in, Vamp. I can't argue with that. It's like one of my favorite gifts of all time. I abuse it, obviously. So the fact that it's just right there at my fingertips, I'm like, hello, I wish I had that everywhere. It's crazy. A capybara global emote. Mel. Did not know that existed. No, I didn't. Uno reverse. Yeah, it's right. Wait, no, I Uno reversed you. No, you. Dream Elements is a fickle bot. It's true. It's true, Thump. You right. Got the other to your capybara. Oh my goodness gracious. Stream Elements has a massive issue right now. A lot of users reporting everything on fire, bot alerts, etc. being down. It seems like it may be an attack on their servers or an outage. Oh, interesting, Pep. Thank you for looking into it. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I don't know. That's okay. Like I said, there are worse nights for it, especially around here. We're not going to have too much going on by way of alerts and commands and stuff, because I'm not going to be able to see them. Believe so. Marsh rated your stream, and that's how I got here. Yep. I remember, Chris. I remember that you came along with Marsh, but I think that was Saturday. So you've seen 2 Tunic streams, including me rage raging at Tunic though, so there's that. That's not nothing. Hey, that's not nothing. Your bona fides are already like pretty solid. Few people have seen me rage at games, and you got in just in time to see me rage at that one. Supposed to encourage these things. I don't know what you're talking about, Rick. Talking about Ferret. Good to see you, sir. Good to have you in. Good to have you in. Tonight's gonna be an interesting night for all of you. So I see so many faces, so many names of folks that I adore, and I am experiencing trepidation. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Hope you had a good day. And likewise, fam. Likewise. Can't shout you out. That's right. Can't shout out the people. The stuff's not working. Capybars are amazing little creatures. Aren't they just, Crisp? Aren't they just? Abdul. Welcome in, Abdul. Good to see you. All the way from the other side of the world, letting us know that the sun rises tomorrow. It's very good. You and Tink both out here, letting us know it. I appreciate it. I appreciate knowing the future. It's an exciting peek into the through the looking glass, as it were, you know? You know? Mouse! Hiya, Mouse! Good to see you. 6 a.m. here. That is crazy early, Abdul. My goodness gracious. That's right. Hot Bride's there too. Hot Bride up in Rumbleland. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Pre, welcome in. It's good to see you, sir. Good to have you, my friend. For those of you who are curious, because I know a bunch of you are, this is totally off topic for tonight, but Hot Bride did take her NCLEX test yesterday. That's the licensing test here in the States to be a registered nurse, to be an RN. And yeah, so she finally took that test yesterday. She, graduated nursing school, and now she's taking that test, and it sounds, by all accounts, that like she passed it. She won't know for a little while, which is very annoying. Given that it's all electronic and they could give you an answer like that, but they don't because they're douchebags. Yeah, but she took it, and I have no doubt in my mind that she passed it by all indicators and stuff. She did. So thank you guys for your well wishings, your thoughts, your prayers, whatever it is you were sending in her general direction. I'm grateful because she got to do all sorts of stuff today. It was so funny. It's like, what have you been up to? And she's like, this. She just rattled off like 50 things. I'm like, you did all those things? That's insane. She's like, I was very productive. Very productive. Yeah, got it in the bag. You're amazing. Exactly. What Vamp said. Babe. Yeah. Traff. Hello, Traff. Good to see you. They do like to stress people out. That's actual facts. What she told me, what Hot Bride was telling me is apparently they don't send you your official results for like 6 months, which is hilarious. Again, given that it's a digital test and it's all graded digitally, and that they don't give you a score. They don't grade the thing and give you a percentile or percentage. It's literally pass or fail. You passed, you didn't pass. But here's the rub, okay? Here's the worst part, the most annoying part of it, is you do find out whether or not you passed long before that, because your license, your ability to practice medicine, posts to the state's board registry or whatever the hell, within a week. So you passed, you're able to now practice medicine on people's lives, but we're not going to send you the results for 6 months because screw you. It's actually nuts. Yeah, it's batty. It's a good word for it, Traff. It's friggin' batty. It's unbelievable. Ugh. Unbelievable. It makes me sad. What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you? Misfire. You brave man. Brave man. All right, that means I gotta go reclaim some bandwidth. This gentleman out here. There I am. There is no need to be lurking me. Makes not a lick of sense. Not a lick. Misfire, good to have you in, sir. I hope you're well. I hope that the time zones are treating you right, that the streams are doing the same. Joke, it's good to see you. None of the shout out things are working. So everybody has been trying to shout out and it's just not working. Not working. I suspect the organic shout out thing will work though. Just none of the stream elements commands. I don't know. I don't know if you've been experiencing that, Sir Pudgy Table, but yeah, I don't know. None of our commands are working. It wasn't working for Lithium. Pep says their servers are under attack or are just down due to weather or something. Don't know. But yeah, kind of crazy. They make you wait forever. Vamp knows things. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Anyways, good to have you in, Joke. Good to have you in. Scroll bar. Okay, there's Memphis. Hello, Memphis. It's good to see you. Lunar. Hello, Lunar. Welcome. I hope you guys are doing. Yeah, fire's tired. Oh, the tire fire? Our tire fire? Pudgy Table, destroyer of snacks. Tire as heck. Tire as fire? Gang, if you don't know who Sir Fire is, Sir Pudgy Table, aka the destroyer of snacks. You'd be doing me a personal kindness if you'd go do a vibe check on this gentleman, this fabulous Misfire fella, because he's a keeper. He's a keeper, a jolly fellow if e'er there were one, and I consider myself fortunate to know him. I'm grateful to have you, sir, that you would entrust your platform to me after all of the times you've already done it, all the chances you've had to like go, I think better of this now. I changed my mind. Here you are. Means a heck of a lot. Memphis, I'm glad to see you as well. Lunar, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that the time zones are treating you okay, that 2025 has been kind to y'all. I don't know if Misfire knew what he was dragging y'all into here with this stream tonight. This is gonna be a rough one. I haven't disabled raids yet because we haven't started the lecture proper yet, but there's a reason that our attendance is low tonight. It's cowardice. I mean, no, it's Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day. It is Valentine's Day. No. Some of it will be cowardice. Some of it will be. Anyways, and understandably so, incidentally. Understandably so. But it's very good to have you in. Very good to have you in, all of you. For those of you with whom I've not yet had the pleasure of making acquaintance, my name is Gus. And tonight's going to be tough. I do a variety of things. It's the variety streamer thing. Galaxy, it's good to see you. Commodore, welcome in. Welcome. Jack, good to see you, sir. Dang, look at that. YouTube is echoing? Why would YouTube echo? That's weird. What do you mean it's echoing? Is it because it's echoing because you have both up? Or is something going wrong with YouTube, Jack? Because I'll just kill it. I'll just behead YouTube, no problem. I'll just kill that stream right now. Like, the Rumble one is live still, okay? We're multi-streaming, you guys. You can pick. Look, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, do you. Do you. All of the chat goes to the same place now. It's pretty great. I have a combined chat over here too, so I can see that. Pretty handy dandy. Gotta say. Gots to say. Calling out the single people? Calling out the single people. Oh, Valentine's Day? No. Wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'm married and I'm here. Listen. Hop Ride had a very busy day. I had a very busy day. And we went on a little date yesterday. So, and we go on dates, regularly enough that we don't need a special occasion to be an excuse to do it. But glad to have you guys in regardless of your relationship status. That's right. Misfire, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I'd be grateful for some self-promo. If you wanna tell people the tea, what will they find when they go do their proper real vibe checks? You can. Scheduling, any big streams coming up, any of that. Or if you're going the hell to bed, also night everyone, he says. All right, yes, that. You can go to bed. I will not be offended in the slightest. Thank you again. It means a heck of a lot. It's a very big vote of confidence, one I take very seriously, sir. So thank you. I will steward as well as I am able your platform and your people. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Galaxy, I hope you're doing all right. I hope that Weekend's Eve finds you well. Silver! Hello, Silver. Oh, fabulous human, this one. You guys, every time I go over to her corner of the interwebs, I am like, the hospitality, I gotta say, the hospitality, 10 out of 10. She punches me in the face every time. She's like, poke! It's the thing, the whole thing. Dad talk? Not quite, Memphis, not quite. No, we are in the middle of a series. Thank you for asking. We are in the middle of a series called The Masculine Journey. And, well, it's a very important talk. And this will, as I've been warning for months, this will probably be the most difficult talk that I've ever delivered. This is probably it. I can think of one other that was much more awkward. But this will be both awkward and much more. So yeah. If you haven't seen the go live that I wrote tonight in the Mafia community Discord, links in the usual places, join the Discord, y'all. Go to the self-promo channel, see the ping for @everyone. I don't know if it's the latest one or not. Several people stream and promo in there, so you'll see it if it's because it's the only one that's highlighted. I pushed it like 45 minutes early tonight. I wanted to give people as much notice as possible. But yes, tonight's going to be tough. And it will require courage. The cost of entry will be courage. So, I made it funny because I posted twice. Oh, yep, no, I didn't get it, Jack. I didn't get it. That's funny, though. That is funny. You're right. I was like, because listen, I don't understand how things are working or not working right now. So you could have fooled me. Could have fooled me. People be shaking the sheets with the Valentine's Day thing, so it's okay, I figured. It's Thor. How do you combine chats? Good question, Memphis. Good question. Tink figured it out. One of our resident one of our resident geniuses. Yeah, he figured out this Stream Ninja thing, and it's like this whole to-do. But anyways, if you want to see it, Memphis, you're already in the Discord, so go to the broadcaster resources section. Yeah, go to broadcaster resources, and you will see a post from Tink that is recent, and it will explain that. You can find that in there. And he wrote step by step, walks you through it. Pretty great. Pretty darn great, gotta say. There's a lot of customization once you get past the initial, like, wow, that's a lot of friggin' options. Then you settle in. I'm married and I'm here. Hell yeah, mouse. Married solidarity. Hell yeah. That's the way to get through to people. Calling them a coward always induces solidarity and camaraderie. I was gonna say, one should never only celebrate your love on one single day a year. Correct, Vamp. I concur. I think I'll be cowardly and go. Oh, not key. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh geez, danger. Oh, danger. Oh, Key. Fabulous Raiders, it's good to have you. Also, this means I have to reclaim bandwidth because it won't do for me to be raiding me. That's absurd. That's absurd. We won't do it. We won't have it. No. So, we reclaim some bandwidth here. Very good. Key, how the heck are you doing? I hope you're doing so gosh darned well. How'd your stream go? Did you have a good time? My boy Blue, it's good to see you, Blue. Welcome in. Welcome. Chidori, J. Drew, how's you? TM, hello, TM. It's good to make your acquaintance. Welcome in. Welcome. Ninja, how's you doing, Ninja? Oh my gosh. You changed your name, I think. My goodness. Welcome. B-Man, hello, B-Man. Hello. Jack Skellington, how's you? How's you guys? When you type shout out instead of raid, I cry. Wait. Wait, you didn't mean to raid me? You meant to shout out me? Is that what you mean? I'm sorry, you guys can all go. I won't be offended. I won't be offended in the slightest if you're like, nope, this is not where we wanted to be. It's all bad. Don't like it. Key lied to us. It was a trick. We fell. We tripped and bumped our knee. It was all bad, and we are upset. Yeah, I'm gonna do a shout out. She meant to raid and accidentally shout out. Oh, I see you. How's you, Agent? It's good to have you in. Good to see you. And yes, Tweety, hello, Tweety. Yes, none of the stuff works. None of the Stream Elements stuff is working. Apparently, Stream Elements is like suffering some sort of attack or something like that. Golden! Golden! Hello, Golden! Welcome, you guys. Guts, it's good to have you in. Key? Gus, stop it. What? What'd I do? You looked at activity feed. I shouted you out, and I meant to raid. Activity feed. Activity feed, you are, madam, assuming that the activity feed is working. That's what you're assuming. Refresh. Show me the thing. Let's see. Yeah, because my activity feed, it is broken. Yep, I don't see it. I don't see it. So, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm glad to have you guys in. Yes, I am. Fabulous Raiders. Fabulous Key. If I have not yet had the pleasure of making your acquaintance, my name is Gus. Or hey you, or guy with a tie. It doesn't have to rhyme, but if you'd like it to rhyme, it can rhyme. I'm a variety streamer. I get up to a variety of things. It's right there in the name. And I'm glad as heck to have you, to welcome you to my humble abode and to my humble little corner of the entire webs. It's really something to have you in. But how the heck did stream go? Did you have a good time? Did you do all the stuff that you'd hoped? Was it everything you'd hoped and dreamed? Also, Key, you said something very cute at the outset. You said, Happy Valentine's Day to you all. If you don't know that you're loved, I'm bringing the love to you. And I was like, oh, freaking duh. I was gonna do the thing, and then it's like, we did it, hooray. I'm bad at it, but we're getting better. It's fabulous. I go shower and relax. All my peeps follow Gus. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Hey, Ty, guy with the Gus. Exactly. Irie, it's good to see you, Irie. What a pleasure. What a pleasure. Okay, gang, if you guys don't know Key, again, I never ask that anybody blindly follow. Never. I understand keeping your follows clean. Which is why I always say that if I let you down irreparably, you can unfollow. I understand, okay? So, that said, you guys would be doing me a personal kindness if you go give a vibe check to Fabulous Key right here. That's Ballin' Little Key. That's the one. That's the Key. And at least one day a week, she's also Waifu Key, which is pretty fun. You guys, she's got a new PNG tubing thing going on, and it's very fun. It fits her perfectly. And yeah, I would ask for self promo, but she already.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Why, Jack? It means a heck of a lot. I take follows very seriously, and I hope to earn it. From the silly to the serious, I hope to earn it. Gang, take that same spirit. Go do a vibe check on Key. If you want to follow, follow. If you don't, well, that's okay. We have different tastes in fabulous humans. But yes, welcome in. Ballers, it's good to have you. Good to have you indeed. I was just opining that tonight's an interesting night, and it is a wild night that you have found yourselves here, okay? It's, allow me to explain. Ruth, it's good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in. I love you guys. Good night, Mafia fam. Good night, Key. Get that sleep. Get that good sleep. Gus is so bussin'. Oh my gosh, I swear. But have you been hydrating? Self-love is important on Valentine's Day. Yeah, Tweety. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Because a couple of you have tried it, just because the commands aren't working, because you want me to stay alive, I'll hydrate. You know what's funny? Is I even added the command that you wanted, Mouse. The one you've been trying to get to work. And like now none of it works. None of the alerts even work tonight. It's ridiculous. Okay, so Raiders. Kids, welcome. It's good to see you. Let me bring you up to speed, okay? You will notice that there's a little banner running along bottom of the screen tonight. That's because I believe in building and establishing and fostering and encouraging the pursuit of real and lasting relationships, okay? I believe that those relationships involve, as I said, the silly and the serious, okay? I presently stream on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Tuesdays and Saturdays are silliness, okay? Like, I started as a competitive Apex player. That's how I know Key. Key found me playing Apex forever ago. That's how I met the Baller crew. And yeah, I haven't played Apex in a spell now because my computer broke, but I'm working on a replacement one. So I'm playing single player games until I can get like back to the PC functioning for multiplayer. But yes, there's gaming on Tuesdays and Saturdays, but Friday nights are an altogether different beast, okay? Friday nights are something else. Friday nights are something else. Again, I believe in real relationships and encouraging the pursuit of them. Now, the gold standard, of course, for this is in-person community with whom we regularly gather, maybe share a meal and share our lives and shoulder one another's burdens. This is part of being human, okay? To not do so is to miss out on much of life. And I believe that we either live with community or die without it. So we here have a imperfect medium, the entire webs, and this chat over here is certainly an imperfect medium for processing all of the crazy difficult stuff, okay? And I say this for a reason. It's because the Mafia Community Discord, the hub of all that we get up to, links in the usual places for the Discord because the commands aren't working, so you have to like go below the, look in the description. I'm multi-streaming, I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Rumble. So you can find the YouTube link, or the YouTube link. You can find that too. You can find the Discord link in the descriptions of them. Anyways, rules to get in are kind of tough, and that's by design. And that's because we've curated a community where people opt in to what we call hard mode. This is where we get to do, again, pursue meaningful relationships together. That's no small thing. Now, it's not like everything needs to be serious all the time. No, again, from silly to serious. I believe you have to have both. That said, Wednesdays, we've got something called the Cosa Nostra Rendezvous. These are, or the CNRs for short. This is a time where we set aside time in our calendar each week. We show up and we get together in smaller group settings and we just get to process life. Talk about your world, talk about your week, talk about the highs, talk about the lows, all of that. And you put a face to the name and build something lasting in relative privacy in the Discord, okay? This, I can read the chat, everybody else can read the chat, but syntax is missing, body language, tone, volume, all of that. This is an impoverished medium to be understood in. So, that said, tonight's topic is going to be a tough one. There's really no way to sugarcoat this, okay? We are in the middle. We've begun, as of last week, we've begun a series called The Masculine Journey. This is no small thing. This will, for many people, be the most difficult series that they've ever listened to. Okay? Some people are not prepared. My encouragement is, if you want to support the stream, if you want to support all this, leave the tab open, mute the tab, and then you can go watch the VOD from last Friday. Jump to like 45 minutes in is where the lecture began. Because like tonight, you see the lecture has not yet begun. And we're already 33 minutes in. But jump in and listen to the lecture portion, which was fairly short. It was only like 50 minutes or something, or an hour, somewhere in there, I don't remember. And that was all of the preamble to tonight. Now, all of January has been a precursor to what we've now done in February. But I would say last Friday was kind of a prerequisite to where we're going tonight. And that's because tonight, I will be mustering absolutely every ounce of skill that I've got in order to communicate well that which I intend to, so as to not be misunderstood and to not cause wanton harm, wanton pain, wanton difficulty. I will be doing that. Even still, I am human. I am just a human. I am a disappointment, and I will let you down. Sam! Oh my gosh. I swear. Snot, it's good to see you. Milk, welcome in. How you guys doing? Psycho? Hello, Doug. It's good to see you. Crack, hello, Crack. It's good to have you in. Good to have you indeed. Blick, welcome. Oh my gosh, you fabulous humans. DVV, hello. Is it truly hydrating if you don't finish the bottle? Yes, it is. Don't even. It's ridiculous. Raiders, how's you? How is you? Long time no see. Indeed. Also, this means I have to go reclaim some bandwidth because, again, it makes no sense for me to be lurking me. It makes no sense. Wait, who are you? Stranger Danger. Someone read it out. And you read it out, obviously. Here you are. Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome. You guys know the question I'm gonna ask. You already know, because this isn't the first time you've gone and done me this kindness. Sam, if you're here, I know Sam never hangs out for the raid. I know. I might have set my expectations accordingly. However, I'm still gonna ask. Sam, if you're around and you want to do me a kindness and do some self promo, I'd be grateful. Oh, shout out here. Shout out at Sam. We gotta do it. Okay, gang. If you don't know Sam, you should go do a vibe check on this gentleman. And again, I say that all the time, but for him, you should ask what an actual vibe check is, and he'll show you. He'll show you a vibe check. Go in there and just tell him you're here for the vibe check, and you'll see. You'll see. Huh, gang? Tell him. Also, yeah, beats us with his right hand. That's true. That's known. It is known. But what about this? What is this about the protein bar? Oh no, Doug, what? My dude. Also, Doug, listen, I was lurking your stream the other day and you were just like belting it out, my dude. You was just singing. I was like, get it. Get it, my guy. It was crazy. But I hope the time zones are treating you guys okay. I'm glad to have you guys in. And again, for those of you who haven't yet met Sam, please do a vibe check and decide if you're going to follow. I never ask that anybody blindly follow because I understand keeping your follows clean. Yes, I do. Which is why I take very seriously your guys' time and your guys' follow. And yes, your raid, Sam, because you're entrusting your platform and your people to little old me. Means a heck of a lot. A heck of a lot. My goodness me. Goodness my. Gang, it's very good pleasure to welcome you into my home. And it is, it's very funny. You just came on the tail end of 2 other raids, and I was just caveating what it is you've walked into. I was just explaining what everybody has stepped into here tonight, okay? You may see the title of the stream, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch or on Rumble. We're on all 3 right now. We've got individual streams going out to them, so pick your poison. The chat is all mixed up right here, so you can see the chat regardless of platform. It's pretty great that way. Where is that's not the thing I wanted. That's the thing I wanted. Look at that. It works, it really works. And yeah, I am gonna have to tell you guys some of the tea as well, after partaking in a bit of mine. How you doing, Psycho? How is you, huh? Man, that's some hype. Look at this. Look, I don't know if I'm worth that kind of hype, Psych. I don't know it. I don't know. Hope all's been well and kind to you lately. Thank you, I appreciate it very much, Nut. Very much. I think he had plans for tonight and had to raid and dash. That is okay. I'm unoffended. But I'm grateful for you letting me know. Always am. Water obtained, Gus, on 34-inch screen. No work. I'm all set. I'm sure that made sense at one point, Rick. At one point. If you're not ready for hard mode and are stuck on intermediate or beginners, you might want to wait till tomorrow for the silly stream. This will be tough for some to see and hear. Wow, Vamp, that was... Okay, hang on. Hang on. How do I highlight that? Click to feature message instantly. Very good. That's good. That is now a featured chat. At least in Rumble, all I gotta do is click on it and it's featured. But you did a good. You did a good. Wait a minute, is that Ronnie? Wait, Ronnie, aren't you streaming? Hello? Aren't you? Yes, you are. I literally just checked this. Madam? BRB. Oh, I see. I see. With the burb screen. Ah, that's very loophole. You got me. You got me. I'm about to call you out, and I'm the one in the wrong. Turns out I'm the jackass. Taking a break. Silent Hill is making me nauseous. Oh no. Wait, like because scary or because like movement? Oh no. Oi, you guys didn't see Ronnie's hair tonight. You gotta go see her hair. Pretty great. I like it a lot. I'll have you tabbed up, but I'm working on some essays right now. Gotta grind them out before bed. Fair enough, Snub. Fair enough. I'm just glad to have you. Glad to have you indeed, that you'd come along for the raid and for your bandwidth. It means a heck of a lot. A heck of a lot. Can you copy paste the message to here too? Nope, can't do it, Rick. I could pin the message, so I might do that. Hang on, let me figure out how I never pin messages. I don't know things. I don't know things. No, I cannot, because I'm bad. I don't know how to do things. Listen, help me. I'm just a helpless little baby. I don't know technology. Wee. No, you're not. No, like, it's just gross. What? Oh, visually and audibly nauseating. Oh, I got you. Fair enough. Fair enough. You're talking like one of the old ones, right, Ron? Like, not one of the remakes. That would do it. That would do it. So commands over here broken too? I guess so, Tink. I don't know. It's weird. Oh, there it goes. Wait, did that work, Tink? Or did you just copy paste the link? Because that's not the link. That's not the right link, is it? I mean, at least it's not one that I know of. Did you make a Discord invite? Oh my gosh, I swear. Amazing game, but I need a break. Fair enough. Oh, I am playing the remake. Ah, okay, I got you. I see. Yes, I'm still learning how to do all the bajillion multi-chat things, you guys, for all the different platforms combined into one. It's very fun. I'm learning. We're learning things. But yeah, I am... type in pin with the comment, except that the comment wasn't made in Twitch. That's the thing. It's over in... that's the link from your About section on Twitch? Really? I copy paste that. Really? Huh. All right. Seems like this conversation is a rough one that you really don't want to start. So you just know I'm equating how crap this is going to make me feel with how long it takes us to get onto topic. This one's not looking good. You're all right, DVV. The fact that you're here speaks volumes. It says a great deal. Here it is for you to pin. Where? I don't see it. Oh, vampire. There it is. Look at that. Pin. Boom. Begliners. That's hilarious. It's hilarious. We'll do 30 minutes. Ready, set, go. Okay. There, we got vamp. Pinned. Very good. Shouldn't have called you out. You're all right, DVV. You are all right. So, okay. All the fabulous raiders, the ballers, the ronbons, the misfires, the handies. Wait. All right. If you didn't get to hear, okay. If you didn't get to hear all the stuff and all the things, here's your warning, okay? Here's the caveat, here's the couching, here's the asterisk on tonight. Again, I believe this is the short version, okay? I believe in real relationships. I believe that it should involve silly and serious. Tomorrow night, we're back to the silliness, okay? We're picking up Tunic tomorrow night. Some sort of silliness, because I just got rolled by that game and it made me raid last Saturday. But that's Tuesday, on Tuesday. But, okay. Handy clan. Yeah. The handies. I like it. It's... I like it's not. I like it. Silly and serious, y'all. Tonight, we have not yet begun the lecture portion of this, but tonight is going to be quite serious indeed. Once we kick this thing off, I will be disabling raids, and I'll be setting it to follower-only chat. It has to be, you have to have been a follower for over 10 minutes in order to say anything to chat. Now, my expectation is that once we get this bad boy off the ground, there won't be... Y'all are welcome to, but there probably won't be a heck of a lot going on in chat. That's expected. That's normal. And that's because I will not be fielding a lot of chat, or any chat once the lecture portion begins, because I'm going to just be lecturing and holding forth, and I get derailed pretty easily, and so I need to stay on topic, stay on target. So if you didn't see my go live tonight that I posted in like everybody's Discord that has a self promo, which doesn't include the ballers, so sorry you guys didn't see that one. Tonight's gonna be something. And I would consider last Friday's talk, which was a fairly short one, okay? Like the whole stream was short, but also the lecture portion was pretty short within that. I would consider that to be a prerequisite for tonight. it was lining up where we're going in this series, the masculine journey. Tonight will be foremost, the most. I debated for a long time, for too long, how to say this in my go live for tonight. Okay, I said that this will be the most challenging stream you've ever attended. That's true, but what if you're watching a VOD? Okay, that would be true too. This may be one of the most difficult videos you've ever listened to. But it is also accurate to say this may be one of the most difficult things you ever faced, regardless of medium. And I say that being a Marine, having done all of the misery and all of the training and all of the special forces awful. And so, yeah, this is going to be something. This is going to hit the Richter scale in a lot of people's lives. And that's, of course, by design. It's not designed to harm anyone or hurt anyone wantonly. It's just the nature of the beast. It's the nature of our topic. We're talking about the development of a man in his life from start to finish, okay? Last week was the preface. Today, boyhood. We're going to talk about what it means. What this period of one's life looks like. What it ought to look like. And then what it looks like when it doesn't go the way it ought. And it's going to be something. But it says a great deal about the folks who choose this, who opt into the difficulty, who opt in to difficult subject matter. Because it takes courage. I've said that courage is the price of entry for this series. And it's no fault of anybody coming along if you didn't know what the series was tonight. And I extend my apologies to anybody who is going to come back from a lurk to find themselves in the depths of this and go, what happened? And they're gonna be mad at you, Sam. I'm saying this for posterity. I know you're not hearing me. They're gonna be mad at you, Sam. They're gonna be mad at you, Key. They're gonna be mad at you, Pudgy Table. But it's not their fault. It's not their fault. They were doing me a kindness and a solid, and they couldn't have known. So, with all of that out of the way, I'm gonna set some things in motion here. Okay, we're gonna set some things in motion. First, we're gonna disable raids, starting now. Moderation, we gotta change to follower only mode. 10 minutes. That is now enabled. And yeah, that's gonna be something. That's gonna be something. I know that it will be a really tall order, which is why I say this now. Okay? For those of you who are going to attempt to do both, welcome in the new joins, answer people's questions that I will not be seeing, pointing people toward resources and answer, like all of that. I recognize that doing that at the same time as listening to the lecture will be tantamount to juggling, and you have my sincere gratitude for the attempt to do it. It is, of course, my encouragement that we try to do so all the time, but if some stuff gets missed tonight, I will understand why. This is going to be something. It's going to be something. So, Raiders, all of you new joins, all of you fabulous humans, Mafia, welcome in. Welcome to the stuff. Welcome to the thing. Talk number 170. Number 170. The Masculine Journey. Boyhood. Timestamps. As I said at last week's outset, I'm excited is the wrong word for this. Excited's the wrong word. I don't want to lose you guys. I don't want to lose anyone. And yet I know that if ever there were a lecture that I were to deliver, if ever there were a stream that I were to host, tonight might be the night. It is not my purpose to scare folks off. Not at all. It is my purpose to improve y'all's lives, to be a value add proposition in the realist sense, to be a net benefit to you. A boon, not a bane. To encourage you. And tonight is just, there's no getting around it. There's no getting around just how tough tonight will be. I have made every effort and spent no small amount of time figuring out which words I want to use. That said, if you're new around these parts, you should know it's not typically my want nor my style to do any sort of scripted anything. Typically, it's all sort of off the cuff, these talks on Friday nights, because I have all these thoughts in my brain. It's just a matter of organizing them. Well, because of the seriousness of this material, I have organized my thoughts. And I have, like, really, really heavily bullet-pointed things. I have chosen my words very carefully. And that's because I really value you. So, it was very important to me to get it right. Very important for me. So I hope you will extend to me grace and patience as I inevitably fail, as I inevitably hurt people, as I inevitably, possibly, hurt you. I've said it a couple times already tonight, but it really can't be said enough. It speaks volumes about the caliber of human who would choose to be here tonight. So welcome in, and cheers to you. Okay. Boyhood. I encourage you guys to take a stroll down memory lane with me. This was something. This was a fun exercise for me, and a daunting one in many ways as well, to reflect on my childhood, my earliest memories. And I thought back to, like, our house, our not quite finished house, not quite finished backyard, big sandbox that my dad put in, and a big playground that he installed. Yeah, he was pretty good at building some stuff, so he built this big old giant playground thing. I remember it had this set of steps that went up on the back, kind of a gangway step that went up, and had these big old PVC pipes for handles going up. You'd climb up this thing. It had this super long slide, like a really long slide. It had no business. Like, it was our first slide, you know, like, what do I know about anything? But that was a slide to me. Every time I went out to a park somewhere, I'm just like, what is this slide? What is this puny, sad little thing? No, I was spoiled by that slide. And the swings, okay, same thing, okay? Same thing. You go to the playground, you go to the elementary school, the swings, the chains on those things were short. And yeah, maybe you get your friend pushing you or whatever it is, and you can get, like, you can go pretty high. But no, the chains on the swings that my dad built were real long. You can go real high, especially when he's back there giving you the push, you know, and you don't weigh anything because you're just a tiny little kid, and up you go, up in the sky, like you'd catch some airtime. Just nuts, the amount of go on those swings. It was something. That was a remarkable thing, that playground. We used to do all sorts of stuff in that crazy backyard. One of my other early memories is we grew up pretty poor, okay, and we had a lot of kids in my house, and so my dad worked a lot, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a while until we couldn't afford not to have both of them working, and yet it would still often be the case that she had to go do something, and my dad would take one of us to work. And so I remember going to work with my dad, he was a service technician, and he'd have customers go to their houses and stuff like that. So it's a lot of driving around town. And I remember his old Ford Ranger. I don't know what year it was, some 90s, maybe early 90s something Ford Ranger, this old thing. Little white Ford Ranger. And it was the cool one. It wasn't just the single cab. It had like the XL cab or whatever with the little drop seats in the back that faced perpendicular. But like you could cram little kids back there, you know, like right behind the seats. You fold them back, you'd climb over them, and they have the little, I don't even know what they're called, jumper seats, drop seats, something like that. You know, his were inaccessible because his truck was absolutely packed stem to stern with junk. Now, he's a service tech, so he needed all these tools and parts and odds and ends and stuff. It's just absolutely filled up with stuff, okay? And I remember sitting in that truck, and the smell of it was of stale bread. And that's because we got a grocery store over in Northern California where I grew up, and it's here in Nevada too. I don't know where all it goes. It's called Rayleigh's. And their bakery makes this great sourdough loaf bread, okay? It's just a baguette, sourdough baguette. They make them fresh each day, and then like when they're sold out, they're sold out. Well, my dad's workday would always start really early. So he always had, like, I don't know where he got them all. I don't know how often he did this, but whenever I was in the cab, I'm sitting there riding along, going with him for his workday. You know, there's only room for one of us there, so he couldn't have taken any other kids in this truck, right? So it's just like me and dad going to work. And he had that loaf of sourdough bread, and it was never quite sure if it was fresh or stale, but that cab smelled like that and pretzels, stale pretzels. For some reason he always had a bag of pretzels right there, and you know, you fish around, eat the pretzels or eat the bread, and like little manual windows on this little thing when the truck was working and not breaking down. That's one of my earlier memories, riding around with my dad. And then later, I don't remember how old I was. I couldn't have been more than 7 or 8, something like that. I wanted to be like my dad, and he went to school to be a geologist, and he didn't end up wanting to get into the oil industry and all of that, so he didn't really do much with it. But he still knew a bunch about rocks, and I thought that was super cool. And I wanted to be like my dad. And I wanted to be like a paleontologist because it mixed like the two things, studying really old stuff and rocks and strata with dinosaurs, my love of dinosaurs. So I want to be a paleontologist when I was a little kid, and I had dinosaur everything. And he took me on this trip once that was a college reunion for him, okay? There was some sort of like his graduating class of the geologists. They did like this field trip, like this reunion thing. I don't remember how many years it was after his graduation. I don't know. But it was in Central California. It was going to be a long drive from where we lived. Out in the desert, okay? It's like way out, middle of nothing. If any of you are familiar with California, we had to go through this little town called Bishop to get there. Bishop, California. I don't know how many stoplights that town has, but it ain't that many. And we were out in the mountains, out in the desert, out in the middle of nothing. And we went on this field camp thing, reunion, okay? But again, little Ranger truck with only one seat in it. Who's he gonna take? Which of the kids does he take along on this trip? He took me. You know, of all the 5 of us, well, I mean, at that time, I guess the youngest wasn't born and the younger one was pretty young, but could have taken my older sister, probably could have taken my little brother, but no, he chose to take me. That was pretty cool. And we went exploring. Oh my gosh, there's cinder cones down there. If you're not familiar with those, they're volcanoes that spit out glass. Okay, that's where obsidian comes from. It's just imagine a volcano, but instead of like a bunch of lava shooting out, it shoots out projectile obsidian, big boulders of glass, black obsidian. And it's really cool. So we went and gathered a couple of them and brought them home. And so I had those growing up. And whenever, you know, friends were coming over, I'd get to show them, be like, look at the obsidian. We went to a cinder cone. Like I knew all the terminology and, oh, yeah, it's made by these forces and this and that. And it's because the temperature is this. It's very cool. I was really big into dinosaurs and therefore also really big into lizards. So I loved catching lizards. I had like aquariums at home. I'd catch lizards and feed them crickets or whatever else I could catch for them. And while we were out in the desert, there was this super fast lizard. It was big and it was like yellow, like some sort of gecko. I don't know what the heck this thing was, but it was fast. And we were like in these sand dunes with all this sagebrush around. And he helped me try to catch this lizard. He helped. And it, we tried. We gave it an honest go. And he's out there sprinting and we tried to corner it and it would just run from sagebrush to sagebrush. And God, it was a fast lizard. We ended up not catching it. I got a bloody nose from all the huffing and puffing because there's also like 0% humidity down there. So I got like a roll of paper towels stuffed on my face, but worth. We climbed into like caves that we found, old mine attempts where they started digging and they didn't get too far down. Old abandoned mine shafts. You can find that in a lot of places out here in the West, especially here in Nevada. That was in California, but yeah, we went poking around in caves that we ought not to have been. I got garnet, quartz, and tourmaline. I'll never forget. Those 3 were things that I gathered up digging around in there. I couldn't even believe how cool it was that I could just you go to like a store or a museum or something, you see all these crystals and you're like, wow, that could never occur in nature. And then like I'm out there and it does occur in nature. It's crazy. So like you find this cave and it's hot, right? It was like summer and the sun was beating down. And so like we go into this cave, like that's just like down into rock. And there's tourmaline, green tourmaline crystals, just like making the walls shimmer. And garnet is like this red, this bronzy red. And it's just like, and I'm like, what? And it's like crystals, like the shapes, like with all the facets and stuff. And then quartz crystals and some rose quartz. And I'm like, this is crazy. And so I'm like, I just want to take everything, right? And I've got a little rock hammer that my dad had in his truck. And so I'm like taking bits and pieces and he's like, yeah, okay. We don't get to go poking around too deep in the mine and we don't get to go banging on the walls of just any old cave, Plus his truck again is absolutely full. I mentioned that the cab was just floor to ceiling of stuff, right? Of like parts and junk and garbage. He was kind of messy, but the bed of the truck, he had one of those little camper shelves on it. All of that was full of tools, just all of the time. And he cleared out some of that to put like our camping stuff in there because we were going on this trip, right? But it was still jam-packed. So I'm like, I want to take all these rocks. And he's like, with what room? And like, I'll put them in the cab with me. Like, with what room? So we didn't get to take a ton, but I still took way too many rocks, okay? We went like 4-wheeling off of some road because, I got like, there's gold in them hills. And so we went driving like down some like dried out like wadi, okay? Like an old washed out or dried out river, little stream bed, creek bed thing with like sandbars and stuff. And like, yeah, we got that truck stuck. And I needed to help him dig it out, and put some plywood under one of the wheels and dig it out the sand with a little shovel that he had. There's like a little e-tool that he had. And that was so stinking cool. We stopped on the way back in Bishop, that town I mentioned. It was the 4th of July. That's how I know it was the dead of summer. Because the day we headed back was the 4th of July. And the firefighters there were putting on a little fireworks show at the local baseball diamond, and the firefighters were all doing fireworks. So we got to sit there, and I got to sit on my dad's shoulders, over everybody else. I got to see the fireworks through the crowd, what little crowd there was in the little town. But that was crazy. I had so many cool stories to like go home with. Like I said, I'm telling people about the cinder cone and the lizard. You guys, you should have seen it. It was so fast, and we had such a good time camping too. We brought a little tent, set it up under like this little tiny tree. Like we found like one tree out in the middle of nothing, and we propped it up. And he's introducing me to all of his classmates, right? This is his college classmates that he graduated with, and he's just introducing me to everybody. And of course, I'm a little kid. What do I know about anything? And several others brought their kids too, so got to meet the kids. And there was an old Quonset hut, like abandoned out there, and it was locked, which is lucky for them. But boy, howdy, I wanted to find out what was in there so stinking bad. Oh, I was living. We'd go camping all of the time as little kids, okay? We went camping like crazy up in the Sierra Nevadas in northern Nevada, northern California. The Sierras like split the two states, but up here by Tahoe is where I went camping like my entire life growing up. Okay, again, a lot of kids, no money. We didn't travel really. We went camping. Camping was our vacation. My mom would make snacks and buy some treats, and she'd load up the car. We'd get in the family like minivan and we'd go camping. Those are our vacations. That's what I grew up with. All right. We had a canoe that we brought. So there's a place called Kirkwood up there, which is a ski resort, but there's also a lake. And we used to camp there all of the time. It was our favorite place. You'd bring the canoe and you'd get out on the water and we'd fish. You'd go hiking for forever in the mountains up there. It's pretty high elevation. We'd climbed those granite, all the crazy like glacier carved granite mountains. And my dad and I went off on a hike one time way out there, somewhere where we'd never been before, because there were some repeats out there. And one time we're hiking back up this slope and there's this like tent. It was like collapsed. It was like this collapsed tent, like on the side of a way too steep of a hill. And it was like tethered to some trees. And we're like, what the heck is this? And clearly it had been there for a long time. It was really dirty. And it looked like it had just had water on it. Like water spots just covered the whole thing. It was covered in mud and dirt. Like it had been there for a long time, like abandoned. Someone just like, I don't know if they tried to set up the tent and it fell apart, or they just like half-heartedly set it up and then said, nah, screw this. I don't know. But I kept that tent. My dad helped me break it down right there. And we toted the poles, and the canvas, rolled it all up, and we toted that back. It didn't have a bag or anything like that, so we're just like walking back. And let me tell you, that was an absolute treasure, finding that tent. Because, we had like this big, huge family tent, right? Again, can't stress this enough. 5 kids. A lot of kids. And I'm the second oldest. So there's like the age ranges. And we found this tent, okay? And since I'm the one who found it, I got to keep it. And we go back to camp, right? My mom is like, what is that? Why'd you get trash? And I'm like, it's not trash, it's treasure. Like I found a tent. And my dad was like, yeah, and so it's his. He found the tent, and so it's his tent. So no longer do I stay in the big giant family tent laying next to my stinky little brother. No longer do I have to be in this. No, I get to set up this tent on the other side of the campsite. That's right. I am a man. All grown up. I get to set up a tent. That's right. And I was so stinking proud of that tent. Yeah, it had some holes in it. Yeah, it was a bit tattered and torn, and yeah, sure. But it was mine. It was a treasure, and nothing less. Nothing less. God, we fished so stinking much on that lake, and my dad would just like sit there and patiently set the bait, and like if we snagged it, he'd fix the lines and do all that. He would just like hook us up, and then we got to fish, right, at his own expense, because he was constantly dealing with our stuff. I remember getting a little bit older, and he's like, hey, I need help. There's wind coming, and we got to row, grab an oar. And it's like, oh, geez, all right, I got to help my dad, right? And I got pretty good at getting the oars going, and I was pretty cool getting to be like my dad, rowing that boat, beating the storm, fighting that wind. That was no small thing. Go back to the camp exhausted because we ended up on the other side of the lake, and it's like, got to fight to get back with our couple fish. Rainbow trout, one of my favorites to this day because of that. Clean the fish. He taught me how to clean the fish. He had this old hunting knife in his truck. I knew where it was. It sat in the door. And a pocket knife to a boy is just like any knife. And this was like a big old fixed blade that had a sheath. A knife to a boy it's heaven on earth, okay? And he taught us how to clean the fish, open them up, clean them out, and all of that. And then we'd put some spices on them or whatever, and we'd wrap them with some butter in some tin foil, and then we'd build a fire and just throw them on the fire. And then we would just sit there by the fire when it was dark, and I just ate the fish right out of the tin foil right by that fire, burning my hands on the foil because it just came out of the fire. My mom had some sort of mixture of like flour and seasoned salt, and like I loved that on the fish. I absolutely loved that. it would like absorb some of the butter too. So you'd have like that. It made it a little easier to eat. And you have to watch out for the bones, because if you guys have never had rainbow trout, or just really any trout, there's got these tiny little bones. And if it's dark, you're like holding every bite up to the fire to see if you can't see any of these itty bitty little hair-sized bones that you don't want to eat. You inevitably eat a few. That's the way of it. My dad had this amazing lure. I would never really like the bobbers. I was too impatient for like fishing with a bobber. I wanted to do something active, so lure was more my speed. You cast them out and you reel them in and you cast it out and you're active. Like I wanted to be part of it, you know. I didn't want to be passive with it, because like also with a bobber, maybe you leave it out there and like maybe the worm or whatever just falls off and you don't even know it until you're like, all right, nothing's biting, and you like reel in like half an hour later and you're like, what? There's not even any bait. You just got a naked hook hanging down there. You're like, I've wasted all my time. My life is flashing before my eyes. Like, so I liked using these lures. Well, he had this lure that the fish just died for. I'll never forget this. It was called the Little Cleo. I wonder if it still exists. I don't know. The Little Cleo. And it was this shiny little just piece of metal, boring little thing. He had all these like crazy lures in like he had a tackle box, big, huge tackle box. And it had so much stuff in it. It was crazy. That was like a treasure chest on its own. And I always wanted to use the big, huge ones. And he's like, that is for ocean fishing. That is for, you know, swordfish. And I'm like, no, I want to use it here. And he's like, all right, fine, you know. Can't even like, the trout can't even bite on it even if they want to. You know, I'm just like, yeah, like reeling them in. But anyways, yeah, this little tiny lure, the Little Cleo. And the fish would hit on that thing like crazy. Like enough to make you superstitious. Like this thing is like good luck. And he let me use it one time, and it's his favorite lure, you know, and I got it caught in a tree. There's this tree on the side of Kirkwood Lake, this big old pine tree that goes up, okay? And it had these rickety boards hammered into the side of it, because like crazy college kids would climb up, and there's like a platform that they had built on top, which is just insane. And then they would leap off of that into the lake, and it sort of overhung the lake a little, but it was like danger, okay? Like rickety. And I got his lure stuck in that tree. And he was disappointed. You know, he's pretty bummed out. My dad never like had much of a temper. So it was always like not mad, disappointed sort of thing. And I saw, you know, it just crushed him that I lost his lure. And I was the cause, you know. That really sucked. And so like we had to cut the line, and all right, well, you know, back to camp we go. And I said, I'm really sorry. And he was just kind of quiet. And we went back to camp, and I was like, I have to get that lure. And like, I'm back at the camp, and my mom is doing something with the food, probably for dinner, like usually busy with a bajillion kids, right? And I'm like, she said, where are you going? And I said, I gotta go do something. Okay, we'll be back by dinner's gonna be soon. I was like, yeah, I got you. And so I went back, and it's like the campground's on this side of the lake. That tree is like over on this side, like at the 9 o'clock of the lake. If we were at 12, it was at like 9 o'clock. And I really didn't want to climb that tree. The boards were old broken boards, not well secured at all in the first place, and it was windy to boot. That's how I lost the lure in the first place. It got caught in that tree, and I'm like, and yet I didn't want to let my dad down, so I climbed that tree. I think I like stopped a few times, up a few, and I'm like, no, this is crazy. This is madness. It's just a lure. No, this is dad. You know. I don't let dad down. I don't want to see dad, you know, sad. So I'm going to climb this tree. So I climbed, and the boards only go part way. Okay, they only go up, but then like what I had got it caught on is a branch out here, right? This branch overhangs the water. The granite and some of the water going out. It was a stout tree, don't get me wrong. It's not some flimsy little thing. Like it was a big old stout tree. Big, crazy, like ponderosa pine, okay? Big chonky boy. but I really didn't want to climb out on that branch. Now, I mean, tell you, I climbed trees as a little kid. I climbed trees all the time. I was something of an expert at tree climbing. Okay, just brag. I climbed out on that limb, and I cannot believe that I somehow got that lure. There were a bunch of lures stuck there too. It wasn't the only one. I was not the only kid or a human who met this fate, but I got that lure, and I was shaking like a leaf up in that tree. And I inched my way back, and somehow I like tossed it back to the safety of like the granite behind me. Like, okay, it's down on the ground now. I'll, get it when I survive this. Somehow I made it out of that tree, and I got that lure, and I brought that back to my dad. I'm shaking. And I like waited. I remember waiting. Like, I didn't want to go back to him shaken. I didn't want to. That's embarrassing. I don't want to. Get it together, Get it together. You just climbed the tree. You did all right. You did okay. Let's go. So breathe. Walk back. And I remember like pacing. Just out of view of the campsite. There's this little trail that led back through the trees. And I was just pacing, like calming my nerves a little bit. Because I didn't want to just get his lure back, I wanted to impress him. I wanted to do a good job. And so I walked back, and I like sat down at the table there. My mom's like, "Where were you? I told you dinner was..." Yeah, I know, I got you. I told you I had something to do, and sat down at the table there, and I went, she said, "What did you have to do? Where are you off? Did you go to the bathroom's right here. Where'd you go?" And I said, "Oh, I just had to go fetch something, little, drop it on the table right there." And and my dad was like, "That was up in that tree. You didn't climb that tree to get that, did you?" And I was like, "Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Playing it cool. And he thanked me for getting his lure. And then he scolded me for climbing that super dangerous tree and said, "No lure is worth that. Don't tell your mom." So Mom, if you're listening right now, sorry. You're hearing this for the first time. Dad, sorry I outed you. I guess I outed me, not outed you, but I don't know. My co-conspirator in this. It was crazy. One time we tried to go to the lake, but there was still too much snow, and they don't plow this little tiny single lane road that gets down to the lake. So we couldn't get in, and we were like devastated. We drove all this way, and my my dad's like, we can get the boat down to the lake, and then we'll come back. We want to reserve our campsite and all of this. And Mom's like, "What? How?" And we took some PVC pipe out of his little truck, and he had us like half slide it on snow, and then where there wasn't snow on the ground, we had PVC pipe, and it was move the PVC pipe one in front of the other, and we rolled this thing down with all of the camping supplies in the boat. We took the tents and everything in the canoe. It was like this long old 12-foot canoe or something like that, this huge thing. And it was heavy, and we slid it, and we finagled it, and we got it all the way down to the campsite. And that was like really slick. So we set up camp there. We left the car up on the road, and then the next day, the snowplow actually did come, and we were like, my mom was pissed. We had spent so much time and energy trying to get everything down to the lake, and the snowplow just showed up the next day. Whatever. It was really cool. It was crazy because my dad just like knew how to do that. He's just like, "Yeah, no problem. Get some PVC pipe. You roll it. You sit here. You move this. Hey, you kid, shuttle this here. You kid, shuttle this here." And he just had a plan. It was nuts. Treehouse in the backyard growing up. It wasn't a traditional treehouse. It was a better than traditional treehouse. He made this thing so crazy. It was like a big platform with railings around the outside, with like piping and stuff. It was really neat. And this was a stout, like robust treehouse too. Many a fight happened up in that treehouse. Let me tell you, many a battle was waged, waiting up in the treetops, up in the canopy, take shot with a super soaker at somebody coming out of the house or some such, or a Nerf gun. Man, or a Kinex gun. I used to make guns out of Kinex. Those were much more painful. Very dangerous. You'd lose an eye, kid. It's true. But he built that treehouse by himself. He sketched it out on paper, measured everything, did all the figuring, and he made that treehouse by his lonesome. You know, I like held the nails or whatever it is as a little kid, but it's crazy. He could build anything. Our backyard grew. It was pretty darned cool. We had these lot of fruit trees. One of the trees, because all these foods you could just go around the yard and eat. Whenever we had friends over too, they're just like snatching up a peach off of this tree and munching on an apple, a plum. You know, one of my friends, I'll never forget, like really liked tomatoes for some reason. He's like, you guys have tomatoes. Yeah, we're an Italian family. We got a lot of tomatoes. Let me tell you, we go through a lot of tomato sauce. So he just like walked up, snatched a tomato off of a bush and bit into it like an apple. And I was like, what? I'll never forget that. I'd never seen anybody do that before. He thought it was the best. And I'm like, all right, you do you, man. Weirdy. One of our trees was an almond tree, and the woodpeckers just went ham on this tree. It's like they didn't care about any other tree. They wanted to kill that tree. And if you guys aren't familiar with sapsuckers are the kind of, like, there's woodpeckers that most people think of. They peck on the tree or the line, the power line poles or whatever, because it's old rotting wood that has bugs inside, and they're pecking a hole to get to the bugs inside. And so a woodpecker can be an indicator that your tree or whatever is dying because there's bugs inside of the tree. Not sapsuckers. Sapsuckers purposefully cause a bunch of damage to the tree. They'll do a ring often around the tree. That's how you know it's them. And they just drink the sap. That's what they want. They're just harming your tree. And they'll come back and re-damage the tree over and over and over again and making more wounds all over it to drink the sap. They're little bloodsuckers, effectively, and they'll kill your tree. So we tried all sorts of stuff. You know, we put CDs in the tree, AOL CDs. We got a bunch of them in the mail, right? You hang them to scare off the birds. We tried a bunch of stuff. But my dad one day was like, all right, we got these ridiculous birds. Like, this is no good. Putting you in charge. Oh, how's that? With a BB gun. We had this little old dinky BB gun. Little thing. And you'd pump it, pump it a handful of times and get that sucker going. And we used to shoot cans. It was like a pretty fun thing my dad and I did. We'd set up one end of the garden. You'd set up some cans or whatever it is in pink and shoot those. That was pretty cool. But he says, you got to protect this tree. Okay? You got to protect this tree. And I'm like, yes, sir. No problem. You got it. So what do? I post up in the treehouse, of course. And I'm sitting there waiting. And I'm like, and then I realized that the BB guns actually don't go that far. The almond tree was kind of far from the treehouse. This was not a wise plan. I was not very smart. This is not very good. This is not going to work out, okay? So I'm sitting there and I'm like shooting at the birds when they came by and like nothing. And I'm like, that was a pretty good aim. It's like the BBs don't go that far, It's a tiny little BB gun. This wasn't that much responsibility, but it felt like an awful lot of responsibility to me. So I had to go post up somewhere else. And I kept trying all these cool kid vantage points. Like, gotta hide so the birds don't see me, I'm like in a bush. And it's like, turns out the birds don't give a rip, and you can just literally stand there and go pop. And that took a long time for me to learn. But I'll tell you, I spent days out there in the bush of our backyard, our little 3/4 of an acre backyard, which is like monstrously huge for a little kid, right? Pretty big for an adult to have to maintain, I must say. And I guarded that tree. When I shot those birds and scared them all off, they get pelted with a BB, they're less likely to come back. They didn't like that. No, they didn't. We built a pool in one part of our backyard. That was pretty crazy. Again, my dad rented a little bobcat thing and just taught himself how to run it. And he started cleaning out this big old huge hole. Again, he designed the pool himself. Got a piece of paper, sketched out with his drafting skills from back in high school or whatever. He drafted out how the pool would look, got it approved, and dug our pool. And it was super interesting. I got to help. I was a lousy little kid, but I got to help a little bit, That was pretty cool. And then as I got a little bit older, I was tasked with keeping it clean and net out the leaves because we had a lot of trees. Big mess, big mess. Yeah, keep the thing clean. You gotta clean up the filters. And then once I could understand what pH strips were and all of that, he had me check in the pH, and I had to add the chlorine tablets. Like, this pool is your responsibility. Okay, I got you. No problem. I got you. And our pool was the jewel of the neighborhood. Okay, the jewel of the neighborhood. Now, we lived in an old neighborhood part of town, but pretty soon, like, it became like an upper middle class area built all around it. Some big rich investors like bought the area and just started building gated communities left and right. Okay. And our little neighborhood was like this old dinky neighborhood. Like, we were the ghetto surrounded by all these new construction. Okay. And a lot of new people would move in and they installed pools. And all these pools were like these big, they were like all the same. I don't know how else to describe it. They were all the same. All these pools were kind of similar, but ours was unique. My dad built it, had a shallow end that you could splash around in as a little kid, and it gradually went down to only 6.5 feet deep, I want to say. We had big boulders that had been dug up that we had placed around it. My dad was working on this waterfall that came down the hill, and it was super cool. Like, this place was great, and everybody loved it. And I'll tell you, my favorite part of that pool was my dad would shot put us into the pool. Okay, we're like, throw me, and he'd just like hoist you up, put your feet on his hand, right? And that's what he'd do. Put your feet on his hand, and he'd just yeet, off you'd go down into the pool. And oh my gosh, like, at first it was like he's in the shallow end of the pool, like standing up to his waist or whatever it is, and he'd yeet us into the shallow end. And then it was like, no, I want to go from higher. So outside of the pool, so we're standing on the flagstone deck. But again, he had done all this, and he'd yeet us into the pool, and then we're like, farther. So we like big boulders, like I said, stand up on the boulder, but yo, yeet up, and it's like, I don't know how his back handled all of that, because this became a thing where we all wanted him to throw us into the pool all the time. Much to my mom's chagrin, of course, because it seemed to her like every one of them was gonna kill us, right? Too close to the edge. You're too far. You're too high up. It was always something. They're gonna hit the corner. They're gonna hit the bottom. It was always something. But man, he would just toss us. He would toss us. Absolutely crazy. We had tree forts, and every single time we built a tree fort somewhere off in this field behind our house that went down to a creek, we needed him to see it, you know? Me and my friends, we all wanted to bring our dads. Come on, you got to see this fort we built. Oh my gosh, it's this defensible position. You know, we built it up with camouflage, and like people can't even see us. Like, they're going right by on the trail, and we're just like so still, they don't even know we're in the tree. You've got to see this place. And like, what good is it, right, if he's not there? And man, they came down and saw all of our forts. Incidentally, that's how we found out that one of them was absolutely infested with poison oak. Because we were like, me and these two buddies, we were all itching like crazy, right? We're like, oh my gosh, you guys have got to see our fort. Oh, it's so cool. And our moms, of course, are like, why is your face puffy? Why are you scratching? Why do you look like that? You know, what is happening? And it was just crazy. And we were like, it's on our fort, this and that. And it was my buddy's dad. He's like, yeah, show me this fort. We're like, yeah, let's go. Woo, I'll show him our fort. We like walked him down to the edge of this field, and we get there. We all scramble up into these big old oak trees, and we're like, look at this. Oh, this one's mine and this one's his. And oh my gosh, it was so cool. It was just super fun. And he's standing off in the field, and he goes, yeah, it was like winter time, and there were all these like wooden, like little baby sapling trees, spires sticking up all around everywhere, and this big old viney bush overtaking one of the oak trees, and that's the one my buddy was in. And he's like, yeah, all of that is poison oak, so come on out of there. You can't have this be your fort. You can have a fort somewhere else, just can't be this. We're like, that's not what poison oak looks like. Poison oak has these green leaves on it. And he's like, not in winter. That's all poison oak. You're literally frolicking in poison oak. We were covered in it. We had shorts, little tiny t-shirts, you know, we were itchy for weeks. Oh, nuts. Absolutely crazy. Going into middle school, this was like a nuts project that my dad helped with. I'll never forget. I had this English course that I took. I think it was 7th grade, okay? So I'm like, what, 12? Somewhere in there, 13? The end of our age range here. And I like playing off of like the Boy Scouts that I'd done Cub Scouts. I graduated from Cub Scouts. We did Pinewood Derby cars. Remember if you've done Pinewood Derby cars. For those of you not from the States, this is a thing. Boy Scouts is a young organization for young boys to do all this adventuring, and you learn how to tie knots and ropes and all fishing, whatever. Like stuff like that, camping. And there's an event each year called the Pinewood Derby car like race. And there's this big ramp, and you got a block of wood, and you needed to carve it into a car, put these little regulation wheels on it, and then you'd race them down, and there was like this whole tournament, and you'd enter your car to compete, and this and that, like really cool. And my dad could build anything, okay? That I told you about the cab of his truck, right? Well, you should have seen. We had a 3-car garage, okay? 2 on the one side, and then the 3rd car garage, like attached. Yeah, you couldn't fit a car in there in a million years. Floor to ceiling, with odds and ends, like parts, tools, you name it, right? For anything. If ever we wanted to do anything, we'd just go rummage around in there. We could find what we needed. Pinewood Derby cars come around. Oh, this is where he gets to shine, you know? And I'm sitting there with my dad, and he says, well, what do you want to make? And I remember, this is in Cub Scouts still, so I was still pretty young. I was in a group, a den, I think they called them, whatever, for Cub Scouts, called the Flaming Arrows, which is pretty cool, gotta say. And I was like, what if I could make my car into a flaming arrow? You know, like, wouldn't it be crazy if we like lit it on fire? And he's like, going down the track, because that'll make it go faster. Duh. I don't know why I need to tell you guys this, Mafia. You understand. If it's on fire, it goes faster. It's simple. It's simple entropy. It's simple physics. But I digress. He's like, yeah, okay, maybe we don't have it on fire. They probably won't allow that. But we can make an arrow. So we like ground this thing down and sanded it, and we put like fletching on the back end. And on the front, okay, it was this like double point, okay? It was like this plus point thing. But I was like, it needs to be sharp. And my dad's like, you're right. An arrow does need to be sharp. We, with all these crazy cool kid tools he's got, right? We carved these little tiny slits in each of these points of this arrow. And we embedded razor blades down in the wood so that they all came together at a point. And we had, by gosh, by golly, a dangerous heckin' car on our hands. Had a thin little shaft in the middle, and it was below the weight amount. You had to have like a certain amount of weight in order to compete. So he drilled out the center and filled it with like lead so that we had the extra weight in there. We loaded this thing up with as much weights as we could possibly do. I can't even believe there was hardly any lumber left to begin. Like, by the time we're done, I don't know how much of that thing was left wood and how much was metal, okay? But we entered that competition, and they wouldn't let us race it. They wouldn't let us put a literally injury-inducing arrow thing on this ramp that was going to zoom down this hill with all these kids around. They weren't going to let us do that. But I won Best in Show. Got a little trophy. Best in Show. That's right. It was the coolest looking. And it was, you know, on theme with our little name and stuff like that. And dang, I was so stinking proud. This thing me and my dad did. Incredible. And then, yeah, this middle school project comes along, right? Now we're in middle school. Now I'm like, I'm not in Boy Scouts anymore at this point. I'm easing out of that. I'm on to bigger and better things that I'll talk to you guys about later. And in this class, we were learning about utopias and dystopias. Okay, in this English class for fiction, for writing fiction. Utopias and dystopias. And our final project for that semester was build a model, okay, utopia or dystopia. Now, there was options here. You could have also drawn one. That was an option. You could do art. You could make a poster or whatever it is. I forget the size, but it's a normal size poster. And draw either a utopia or a dystopia to understand that you, or to demonstrate that you understood the principle, okay? That's what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, you could draw things, sure, I guess. But they're like, you could also build a model. And I'm like, did you say build? You say build something? Oh, oh Dad, we got a project. Lock it in. And I asked the teacher, like, straight up, how big can it be? I'll never forget this. How big can it be? And he goes, it needs to be able to fit in the door, like the classroom door, like, haha, like, you know, needs to be able to fit in the door. And I'm like, bet. And my dad proceeded to gut some old, like, run down, thrown away, ready for the bin, hot tub covers. Okay, we stripped the leather off of them, or the leatherette, or whatever the heck the casing is. Took the big styrofoam bits, and we created this landscape, this huge, sprawling. It must have been 6 feet long, 4 feet wide, huge, monstrous thing with a mountain and a slope. And I had this picture in my brain of, we're gonna do this dystopia, okay? And it's gonna be these skyscrapers, and they're all gonna be like crumbled, and I'll break some rocks and some bricks, and we can have rubble. And my dad is like, yeah, what are we gonna do for the trees? And I was like, no trees, it's a dystopia, you know? And he says, no, what if the trees are all burnt out? And I'm like, but how? How will we do that? Of course, with my dad, there's a way. My dad can do anything. He takes these little tree parts, little parts of other trees that we have in our yard that look like little baby trees, right? And we torch them. Gets a blowtorch out, and we torch these things so they're burnt up, actually crispy. And we install these torched out trees all over the thing. And I'm like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And he says, yeah, we gotta have the whole thing looking scorched. So we torched this bad boy. We burnt out a ton of this styrofoam type stuff, all the cardboard buildings that we built and everything. We stayed up late into the nights building this thing, like for several nights, okay? We built this sucker like way too late in the garage, and my mom's all mad about it. He needs to go to bed. We're not done with the project, Mom. I'm gonna fail my class if I don't finish this project, Mom. And he goes, what if when you show this, it's still got some fires burning? And I'm like, you monster, I'm in. So we embedded several kerosene things, little like kerosene lamps, little kerosene babies, down in the styrofoam and put rubble over them. And I got to school. He helped me, carry this thing, walk it in there. And the skyscrapers made this tough because the whole thing's covered in rubble, right? It's too wide to fit through the door. Either direction, we had to pitch it on its side. And one of the skyscrapers is like leaning real hard, and we barely fitted it in there. We're like making a mess with rubble and stuff the whole time, right? Get it into that classroom, set it on that back counter of that, and everybody, ooh, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yep, that's right. And then I like pulled out the lighter to like light stuff and like click, click, click. And my teacher's like, the hell are you doing? Why do you have a lighter on school grounds and so forth? And I'm like, it's for the assignment. Like none of this had occurred to me. Like at no point was I like, maybe it's a bad idea that I bring a lighter onto campus. Maybe this will get me in trouble. Maybe lighting a fire in a classroom is probably, I don't know. I didn't think it through. So I'm like, click, 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 trying to light the little things up. It's like, no. I was like, well, listen, it won't hardly smoke at all. It's just smoldering ruins. And teacher's like, no. And like, shut this whole thing down, right? Like, no shot, no how, no way, not a thing. No. And I was like, okay. And I got 100%. That's right. We crushed it. He's like, don't light anything on fire. It's very cool. And he's just like, dang. Like, he got the nod. Got the nod from Teacher Man. He's like, there is nothing that my dad could not build. There's nothing that that dude could not innovate and put together. It was just wild. I wanted to be like him so bad. We begin our delving into Sunship tonight by looking backward to what our lives were like when we were boys, and more important, what they were meant to be. That's because so much of the way we now approach our lives as men was set in motion in our youth, for better or worse. The plan for this talk, along with the rest of the nights we'll spend in this series, will indeed begin with how our lives ought to have looked. Best practices, I'll be calling them, right? After that, we'll talk about what happens when these best practices aren't followed. Boyhood is, firstly, a time of wonder and exploration. Think back to your earliest memories, okay? Think back. You've just heard me, you've heard me tell some tales. I hope that as I've done so, you've reflected on some of your memories when you were a little kid. Think back to those. What sorts of places did you find yourself in? What sort of adventures did you have? How many trees did you climb? How many trees did you climb that you weren't supposed to climb? Like, you know, like trespassing. Huh? How many times did you trespass? How many times did you hop fences? You know, what is a fence if not something to jump? Private property, what is that to a child? What is that to a boy, am I right? How many times did you tunnel underneath those fences? Dig any holes? Actually, that's a good question. How many times did you just start digging? How many of you, show of hands, how many of you just dug a hole and you said, I'm going to dig a hole through the earth and pop up on the other side? That's my plan. So you just grab a shovel and you get to work and you just start tossing soil. You get down to the clay. And any of you? I did. I was convinced that I was like 60% of the way there. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're making good progress. That hole must have been like 5 feet deep. Like, oh, but I worked my ass off to dig that hole. My mom was pissed. It's like up in the garden. I just like dug this giant friggin' hole. I worked on it for days too. Didn't tell her about it. She's just, I'm just digging this hole, coming all muddy, and you know, that's me. That's what you do. That's boys. So coming in all muddy and dirty and stuff, that's not out of the ordinary. There's nothing suspicious about that. I'm just like out digging this crazy hole. Stupid. Mark Twain has this quote. Mark Twain wrote this. There comes a time in every rightly constructed boy's life when he has a raging desire to go somewhere and dig for hidden treasure. How many of you thought that there was forgotten treasure somewhere in your life? Stashed away in the attic, perhaps? Go over to your grandparents down in the basement? Something that was left behind. Something covered in dust that only you would recognize if only you were daring and brave to go a-diggin'. How about the abandoned, dilapidated old shack down the way in that burnt down old lot? Bet you there's something in there. Why was it burnt down in the first place, huh? I'll bet you they were trying to cover something up. Bet you they were trying to cover their tracks. I'll bet you they didn't want anyone to find their treasure. I'll bet you there's something under the floorboards. Oh, yeah. There's something in there. And we won't know unless we go digging for it, you know? And, you know, if Mom's not on board for that plan, we don't tell her. Maybe we go after dark. Yeah, maybe. Well, no, then we'll actually get in trouble. And it's awfully scary over there, but maybe we'd be. How many of you went poking around for treasure that you were sure was out there? Yours for the taking. This is the rightly constructed life that Twain was talking about. These ought to be the all-consuming fascinations and indeed priorities of the boy. There exists evil in the world. This is a dangerous place. It always has been, it always will be. But for now, the boy knows it not. How? How can that be? Because his father is shielding him from it. The evil exists, sure, but the strength of a committed and wise father means you're safe. Beyond the rickety bike ramps, collecting tadpoles, and digging for buried treasure, where probably you ought not, this phase of the masculine journey is marked by a singular and irreplaceable need. Learning that you are loved. Once, on those camping trips, right, that we always used to go on multiple times a year, every year, without exception. Weather, what's that? Once, when my family was driving up the mountains, up the Sierras, you know, a couple hours drive to go camping, we learned that our usual campground, the one I've told you about, was full. Okay? And so were our 2 backup campsites that were our backup campsites for a reason, and I don't remember their names because they were our backup campsites. They were loser campsites compared to our main one. So why bother learning their names? We're not going to get comfortable here. We're just going to go searching every day to claim a spot at the right place. But all the sites were full. My mom had just spent, a whole week shopping and making things, and making Rice Krispie treats at home, which was something we only had while we were camping. That was a big deal, a big to-do. She's making trail mix and making jerky and all sorts of stuff that we just, those were our camping times. She had just done all of that stuff. My dad had just pulled everything out of the attic, all the camping stuff, right? Loaded up the crazy family little Dodge Caravan thing floor to ceiling. Like, you can't see, he couldn't have seen out that rear view mirror if his life depended on it, okay? He's just got the 2 side views. 5 kids crammed in there who can't even punch each other because we've got so much crap stacked around us. Just filled up this car. If we had gotten in a car accident, it wouldn't have mattered. We were all suspended in sleeping bags and pillows and luggage and you name, like, we were all like, if a car had rolled, we would have been just fine. They just done all of that for us 5 little terrors in the car, right? And this is supposed to be our vacation, right? So That's not good. And my mom was not amused. She was not amused by all of this, okay? But my dad was unnerved, which, you know, surprised me not at all. My dad was unnerved. But of course he was. He'd always find a solution to a problem. He was an eternal optimist, and if there wasn't a solution readily obvious, he'd invent one. So he found some old road with no signs, no nothing, didn't appear to be private property, no address, no whatever, and it sort of petered out into the woods and disappeared up over like a rise and into the forest. Adventure. Ooh. Adventure. It's one thing to go down a single lane dirt road to get to your favorite camping spot. But here, who knows? Who knows what's out there? Now, if you're here and you've not spent much time camping, all right? If you're not familiar with this, you might not know that at regular campgrounds, there's a sort of like a strength in numbers mentality. Okay, like there's bears, like this is the Sierras we're talking about. There's bears, lots of bears, okay? But like you're at a campground, like a fixed established campground, and there's other campsites around you. And there's always sort of this like, you know, if there's a problem with a bear, it'll be someone else's problem, right? It's a diffusion of responsibility sort of deal. You don't really worry about it. Everybody's got fires going on, you know, you'll hear about it. You're sort of in the middle of the campsite maybe, and if there's a bear or whatever, or mountain lion, you know, someone else will know about it before it gets to you. And so it's not really like, yeah, you'd have an occasional bear come into camp, you know, maybe you'd hear someone banging on pots and pans to scare off the bear or whatever, like maybe. But like, that makes you, in a sense, a little less fearful of all those things, okay? But here we are, off the beaten path. Oh no, we're not in an established campground, no, we're alone. And yet, I never worried about wild animals. My dad could handle them. Whatever. My dad could do it. My dad could handle it. Didn't matter if it was an established place or not. And there's no amenities around. My dad would make do. Okay? Weather? Doesn't matter. My dad dug trenches around the tent. Okay? He made sure that we got set up on a slight slope. When the clouds rolled in, he saw and knew. Put us on a slight slope and dug a trench, okay? This channel around the tent so that the water would flow past the big family tent and not under it and not into it, okay? Weather? No, my dad's got this. No problem. No matter what came our way, okay? My dad could handle it. This was a crazy thing. My dad, at that campsite, it was so fun. So it's not an established campground, right? Like, it's not a... It's not an established site. And again, if you're not that familiar with camping, you might not know that most established campsites have fire pits in them. Some of them are big metal fire pits with like a grill on them. Some of them are just rings of rocks with a grill sort of over them. Stuff like that, okay? But we're out here in the middle of nowhere, so we didn't have that. So what did my dad do? My mom, one of the things she had done, feeling very bougie, very fancy, was she had bought steaks. And we had these steaks in the cooler, right? And they're not going to keep her forever. And that was part of her meal plan for the first night. We were going to do steaks. It was a big to-do. And because she did not like the rainbow trout. We loved the rainbow trout, you know, sitting there picking through the bones. Not my mom's favorite thing in the world. I could never understand why. So she brought these steaks, and my dad's like, I'll take care of it. And she's like, take care of what? And he's tasked me and my brother with, hey, build a fire ring. Okay, clear space and build a fire ring where we parked the car. Okay, sure. So we cleared out pine needles and leaves, you know, whatever else. We cleared all that out. And then we got some rocks. We went, you know, not too far, gathered up some rocks, came back and built this pretty cool little fire ring, if I do say so myself. And my dad was gone a little while. And we're playing and doing whatever. We had long since finished the little fire ring, and like 2 hours pass. And he comes back. Maybe it wasn't 2 hours. It felt like an eternity for, a little kid. But he comes back with this big old spool of rusty barbed wire. Like, the whole thing is rust, okay? The whole strand is just rust-colored barbed wire. But I'm like, the heck? He had just walked in a direction until he found this busted up old fence that was all fallen over and everything like that. Of course, he had his trusty multi-tools on him, and he chopped up some lengths of barbed wire, pulled it up and brought it back. Took some big branches, some heftier length of tree, some branch, right? Got a saw out of his truck, of course. Sawed out of his little toolbox, sawed all the stuff up. And then he took a pair of needle-nose pliers, parked himself over on the tailgate of his truck, because we had his little Ranger and our family minivan. It was like both. And so he parked his little self over on the tailgate of his truck, and he got his little needle-nose pliers out, and he made a grill, okay? He tethered together the sticks on all four corners, first of all, took some barbed wire, wrapped it around them, okay? And then secured that. And then he ran lengths of barbed wire around it. Made a grate, made a grill, made a cross-stitch freaking grill of rusty-ass barbed wire. And it was big enough to cover this whole fire pit that we had made, this little rock circle, right? And we built a fire, and he cooked it over the fire. My mom was like, we can't eat off of that. And he's like, the fire will sterilize it. It's fine. And we thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I have told that story about that at every chance I got for my entire life. I've told that story because I could not believe how cool that grill was. And yeah, we got a roaring fire in there. We sterilized it, and we cooked those steaks on that grill, and they were freaking chef's kiss. It was amazing. And then we left it there. When we left it, and I was devastated. We're not going to take it home. What are we going to do with it at home? I don't know. But it took all that time to make. And my dad's like, if we ever need another one, we'll make another one. I'll leave it for the next person. Nothing stopped that dude. The safety that a father's strength provides allows a boy to be a boy. He creates a walled-in universe where a boy's heart can come alive. When he has this kind of confidence in a loving father, in the masculine strength that guards him, the world is his oyster. Nothing is impossible for the young adventurer. Men. Men. When you were a little kid, were you ever told stories or read stories by your parents? Maybe you guys were bigger into movies instead, okay? What kind of stories were they? Maybe this is something you haven't thought about in a while, but I encourage you to. I got to. For this project, in preparing for these talks, I got to think back. I got to delve into the old memory bank to see what was there, covered in dust. What genre? What was there like a theme to your favorite stories? Books, print or film, whatever. One of my favorites, we had this old dinky VCR. We started a VCR, we started a video collection, okay? We had these videos, video cassettes, by golly. And one of my favorites, I don't think I appreciated it when I was super, super young. I don't remember what age I came into this, but I remember just being fascinated by this, okay? And I used to watch it a lot. It's a long movie. I used to watch it a lot because it's like all the Disney movies and all the animated stuff for the kids. This was different. This was a live action film. Maybe some of you have heard of it. One of my old time favorites, okay? It's called The Swiss Family Robinson. Is anyone familiar? Have you heard of it? You could say in chat if you have, but you don't have to. You don't have to partake in chat at all. Well, the story was first published. It was first a book, okay, and then it was adapted for movie, obviously much later. It was first put to print in 1812, okay, and the story itself was set at, then modern day. And the premise, I'm going to spoil some stuff here for you guys, okay? I'm going to spoil some things. The premise is there's this family, like mom, dad, and it's like 4 or 5 kids, okay? It's like big old, it's like my family, okay? And they're on this like whaling ship, like, the ye olde ships, like back in the day, the big wooden ships, like that's the era we're talking about, okay? And they're on this ship, and it shipwrecks on these rocks off the coast of the, or in the East Indies, which is down next to some of our friends down in Eurasia, okay? Down Southeast Asia down there, in the East Indies, okay? And they shipwreck in these rocks off the shore. And they get into the boats, the little lifeboats, and dad and them, they struggle and they get to shore. The ship is all up on these rocks and they get to shore as the only survivors of this thing, this family on this boat. And they survive, okay? And then it's this uninhabited jungle island. And it's like super dangerous. And the dad in the story is just like my dad, okay? Just like my dad. He's inventive as hell. He can make basically anything. Super, he's ingenious like this. So he and his family get to work, all right? But they don't just survive on the island, no. And this is all spoiled in the trailer, by the way. Like, if you go watch the movie trailer, you could YouTube the Swiss Family Robinson movie trailer. I don't remember when it came out. But, they basically spoil the entire movie, start to finish, in the trailer. And I'm like, they don't make them like they used to. They just tell you the whole movie in a 2-minute video, and you're like, so they all live happily ever after. Sick. Movie trailers were wild. So anyways, they set out on this island, right? And yeah, they're not just gonna manage, okay? They're gonna crush it. So they build over the course of months, weeks turn into months and stuff like that, and they're there. They build this huge, magnificent, sprawling, tree house, this big interconnected thing up in the canopy, up in the jungle canopy. They build this big main house and these offshoot houses, and they're all connected by rope bridges and zip lines, and it's amazing, right? Super, super cool. And it was really neat. The whole premise was really cool. The kids, they're exploring the island. They get up to all sorts of trouble. They find giant snakes. They find tigers. It's a scary place, right? And then one day, they're all just vibing out there, and it sort of settles in, and everything's kind of well, this is paradise. Living in paradise. It's really cool. We've done it, and the family's all together, right? And one day, trouble finds them. There's pirates about. There's pirates off the shore, okay? And they want to hassle them for some reason. And so, family gets to work, transforming the island, sort of Home Alone style, okay? Transforming the island into a series of elaborate traps to repel the pirates, this invading horde of pirates. I don't know, there's tons of pirates. I could be misremembering, but I seem to remember there being hundreds of pirates, okay? Hundreds of them against this family of 6 or 7. And there's big giant things holding up rolling logs, and this gets triggered by the snare or by the tripwire down below, and all these logs go rolling down the mountains and kill all the pirates. There's swinging logs and stuff. There's snare nets that are snatching people up into trees, and then one of the tigers they found, one of the boys trapped it and had a pit. And so it's right on the path that all these pirates are going to travel through, right? And so they cover up the trap, of course. They cover it up and make it kind of weak and have the tiger in the pit. And they walk across this thing, and several pirates fall into the pit with the tiger. And, I don't know, play poker or something. I don't know, it's a kid's movie. I don't know what it is they do down there, but they don't come back out. Must be having a good time. Now, here I'm generalizing, of course, right? You ladies might not understand the whole, like, why that whole story has such appeal to me as a little boy, okay? I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The whole thing, everything I just laid out, everything I just said, that premise, the prospect of being shipwrecked, okay? And needing to survive off the land, no food, no clean water, no building absolutely everything from scratch. Everything. You've got nothing and you must make do. Figuring out how to survive in a hostile jungle with crazy scary animals that want to eat you and all of that, and then fending off hordes, legions of enemies, the pirates with a small band of brothers, like defending the women. All of that is basically a boy's, like, most treasured, most prized fever dream of all time. Okay? That's like, it doesn't get better. All of that right there, this is what the heart of a boy longs for. Daring adventures, battles, uncharted territory, just waiting to be explored by someone brave enough to do so. I cannot emphasize enough how that story speaks to the heart of the boy. We've got much ground to cover in the masculine journey in the weeks ahead. But spend an afternoon watching boys at play, and you will see clear foreshadowing of what's to come, what he's meant to become. You'll see winks and nods to each of the ranger that we'll get to, the warrior, the king. All of the phases a whole, well, rightly oriented man ought to progress through, ought also be evinced in the play of the boy. All those hippy-dippy moms out there, they're upset that their sons turn everything they hold into a gun. You know, got a stick and all of a sudden it's a gun, right? All upset that the first sounds they learn to make are those of machine guns and explosions. Yeah. All of that is not only normal. In fact, most boys learn those sounds before they learn how to talk. Okay? Overwhelming majority of boys learn those sounds before they can speak. Not only is all of that normal, it's necessary. Try to strip away these things from the boy, and you will destroy the man. Again, the boy is a warrior in the making. And all these imaginary battles are his preparation for the day he comes into the fullness of the warrior stage. Crush his spirit and his imagination here, don't miss this, and he'll be broken later. Let this be a warning to you ladies out there. A boy wants to be powerful. This is why every boy imagines himself a soldier, a super spy, James Bond, a superhero. The cape and the cowl and all of that. He wants to be powerful, dangerous, a force to be reckoned with. That is the heart of the warrior to come, shining through. How about it, gents? How much of this was true of you? Was every stick first a sword and then a rifle? Ooh, how many of you upped the ante and maybe you picked up like a slightly bigger stick, like a little baby log or something, and it was a bazooka? I'm gonna be honest. How many of you had a bazooka? I had a bazooka. Every single fight that breaks out. No. This is no. This is not just some little single shot rifle. No, this is a bazooka. Every boy knows the word bazooka. Every boy knows that word. Okay. How many of you guys went through this? How many of you guys had every stick a weapon, every encounter a battle. And yet there are those among you, those hearing my message right now, for whom this was not true. You did not battle the forces of evil with sword and shield. You did not repel the invaders with rifle and bayonet. You did not wear those cape and cowl and watch from a high-up vantage point on your street, waiting for a criminal to be thwarted, an innocent to protect. And if that's you, I'd invite you to ponder why. If you're like many men, you perhaps had it beaten out of or shamed out of you by the fearful, overly protective women in your lives. Aunts, grandma, your first teachers. Moms aren't the only ones that can do this, okay? They're not the only ones capable of messing this up here. Maybe it wasn't the women present in your life, but the men who weren't. Maybe you didn't have any men to show you the way, to join you in and encourage, or if you're lucky, facilitate adventures, battles, explorations, delvings. Maybe while you were a boy, you were never affirmed as a boy. Now, I've already talked a bunch about a boy's drive for adventure and danger, and I'll talk much more about it in the coming weeks, guys, since this is core to the essence of a man. We'll come back to it for sure, don't you worry. But for tonight, for the boyhood stage we're still in, there is something absolutely essential to get right while he's yet a boy. Parents or guardians fumbling here is why so many men will avoid tonight's talk like the plague. Above all else, boyhood is a time of affirmation. This is when the boy comes to understand that he is loved, that he is wanted, that he's not a mistake, not an accident. The boy yearns to know that he is prized. And I'm not talking about, let me be quick to say, I'm not talking about the BS, of course I love you, you're my son, okay? Nonsense. Every single boy sees through that. That's crap. That's not good enough, okay? This may be the first time some of you are hearing that, but that's not good enough, all right? What if your parents, like me, had a bunch of kids, all right? Your dad can say, of course I love you, you're my son. Yeah, but he says that to all of you. Of course I love you, you're my kid. Of course, that's not special. It's spread loaded, it's diluted, okay? And that's, therefore, not what I'm talking about. That is not. That's not it. A boy yearns to know not just that he's loved, but that he's loved uniquely. That he holds a special place in his father's heart. A place that no one and no thing can occupy instead. Nothing else can be there. Okay, guys. A boy needs to feel special. We get it. I've done life alongside a great many of you now, by this point. Here in the Mafia, in streams, and Discord calls, and in the CNRs. Some of you I've had the privilege of meeting IRL. And actually, I'm quite sure that you don't get it. This is a far bigger deal than you realize. It's hard to put too fine a point on this. Without this knowledge, let me be clear. Without this knowledge, without this certainty down to his bones that he is, before all else, before he does anything, adored. The apple of his father's eye. He will misinterpret the rest of what life throws at him. Don't miss this. Get this wrong here, and he will misinterpret the rest of life. Before long, the boy will enter the stage of the Ranger, where he will be tested, cruelly so. Not long after, he will be faced with battle as a warrior. Then, it will be too late to help things go right, when an unsound foundation can mean life or death. A man must know before this point that his battles are not arbitrary, that they're not wanton, that they're not useless, and that they're not just the universe beating him up and kicking him while he's down. This will be a through line for the rest of 2025, incidentally. You're going to hear this many more times. I don't know how many of you play poker, but those of you who do will appreciate me asking this. Do you want to know your tell? Those of you hearing this? Again, I've had the pleasure of doing life with a great many of you men. Do you want to know what your tell is? What gives you away? You want to know how I know that a great many of you do not appreciate what I'm saying right now? What the dead giveaway is? It's whenever one of you says, well, that's life. Still more of you say things like, well, that's just how it be, you know, life sucks and then you die. Or what one of you said to me a while back, none of it matters. We're all just hamsters and wheels, slaves to different masters. In saying these things, you betray quite a lot about how you see life and a lot about your childhood. And I'm here to tell you that your cynicism started here as a boy. While you were yet one, while you were yet young. Without this core understanding, this bedrock of affirmation that before he's contributed anything, he is loved, desired, valuable, a man will move unsteadily through the rest of his life, trying to prove the worth and earn the love that he doubts he deserves. He'll do it through performance, through achievement, through sex, through the accumulation of money or stuff. He'll try 1,000 different things. And the most heartbreaking part? Rare is the man who even knows this to be his search. He simply finds himself unsteady. About what? He doesn't know. Ruled by anxiety and the opinions of others, He longs to be comforted, desperately wanting someone to notice him, to ask about him, to seek him. Because all of that then makes him even more secure. That's the problem, okay? You're even more secure now. Because after all, shouldn't a man of 33 or 52 be past all this by now? No. He's not past all this. The boy in his heart is longing for something he never received. And perhaps the most tragic part is that not knowing where to look for it isn't his fault. He was supposed to receive all this while he was a boy from parents who ought to have known better. It's not your fault. Understand this. Children have nothing. Okay? They don't own anything and they don't know anything. They're children. They're not in a position to do anything other than receive. Okay? You follow me? It is thus incumbent on the adults in the room to do the giving. But here lays another tragedy. One cannot give what they don't have. One cannot pass on that which they never received. It is not possible. It's not only possible, okay, but in fact quite likely that this describes the situation many of your dads found themselves in. And many of you who are now dads find yourselves in as a result. If you weren't prized in this way by some father figure in your life, then you will have difficulty doing so with your children. Alas, few there are who reached the end of boyhood with such knowledge intact, who knew and know to this day beyond all doubt that they are uniquely and unconditionally cherished. Let's get to it then. The critical thing about this stage of our development is that it not be cut short, violated, or stolen in any way. Best practices dictate that we be allowed to soak in this. The wonder and joy of boyhood be given time and space and consideration to breathe. We are meant to learn this stage's lessons, okay? Pillage its store of adventures and take all of that loot with us into the next stages. And we are meant to do all of this with the help of our fathers. So, okay, that's how it's supposed to look. What happens if it doesn't? What happens when best practices are not followed? We get stunted. The development of a boy's heart is stunted in many ways, some of which we've already talked about, okay? He is stunted when he's not allowed the opportunity to take risks, explore, get into and out of trouble. Allowed to just exist as a boy, to simply be a boy. He is stunted when his world is not made safe by a capable and loving father or father figure, and the evil is thus allowed to reach him. Or, of course, when the father or father figure is himself the source of damaging evil. He is stunted in his development when he is forced to grow up too soon. A phrase I've heard many a man use in describing his life. Some of you here have told me that. He is stunted when he does have a safe world and knows himself to be the beloved son, but then is robbed of that world by sudden loss. His father leaving, either figuratively or literally. Many times, as I said, the harm done to a boy is unintentional. Rare is the man with wisdom enough to take the rearing of boys as seriously as he ought, and rarer still is the one capable of walking that out. And I'm not asking that anyone here share in chat, okay? Again, this is an unworthy medium for this. The CNRs, or the men's group that were working on standing up, even now, they're better mediums for something like this. But how many of you heard your story in that list? Again, I'm not asking you to share in chat. How many of you were stunted by any one of those? Maybe more than one. Not allowed the space to just be a boy. Not provided the sheltering safety of a strong father. Forced to grow up too soon. Had the good life, but then is robbed of it too soon. Again, I've heard many a man, both here in this community and in my IRL communities, my in-person folks with whom I meet, use the phrase, forced to grow up too soon. One man in particular comes to mind. His father was a Marine, and after 2 back-to-back deployments, as if that time away weren't enough, you know, he crawled into a bottle and didn't come out. Until one day, after being adcept from the Marines, that's administratively separated. This is sort of a kinder way of telling you to get lost. So after he was adcept, he just walked out. As far as I know, he didn't say, you know, the thing. But he might as well have. The result is the same. If your desire is to stunt your child, okay? If you really want to make sure that their life is hell from this day forward, okay? Just from now on. Walk out on them with the parting words, "You're the man of the house now." A cruel curse. That's what that is. And the fact that it's lauded as much as it is in modern media says a great deal about how well we in 2025 are doing with these best practices. But there is one other methodology for stunting your boy. The hurt of this one is not from having doubts about his father's love for him, no, not from a lack of surety, but from being quite sure of something else entirely. Quite sure that he is not cherished, that he is not prized, that he is not loved. What probably comes to mind are the obvious overt instances of this, okay? But it can also be more subtle, obfuscated by a father with more important things. More important things to do than be around you. More important things to have to care about than you. More important things. You wouldn't understand, you're a child. I heard the story of a guy who lived this kind of hurt. And others like it, but this one is particularly striking. He said his dad was a crazy workaholic, okay? Always shut away in his study in the house working. And crazy hours, just all of the time, weekends, in his study, okay? Near enough to hear, but might as well be on the other side of the country because he never saw him. So this guy, through tears, described how, as a boy of 10, he'd spend hours sitting outside of his father's study, the door shut. He said he wrote little notes to his dad and would pass them under the door. He'd do this all the time. He would just sit there and hope for a return note. There never was one. Not one. Ever. The message was clear. You are not prized. You are not loved. You are not now, nor will you ever be, worth my time or my attention. And then there are and then there are the violent stories. The father who openly berates or belittles his child, calling them things like worthless or a burden. The boys who are beaten, the ones who are molested, the ones who are raped. Whatever the details, the message is again clear. You are not prized, you are not loved, you are not now, nor will you ever be, worth my time or my attention. Not only is the boy robbed of his childhood, of the critical foundational knowledge that he has inestimable and unconditional worth, he is saddled with the belief that this is just how humans are. All of them, all of you. They're untrustworthy, they're selfish, and they'll take advantage of you if you let them, if you give them the chance. So a terrible lie settles into the boy's heart. One that does not easily leave him, even when he's old. You are on your own. Life will be hard, and you have to figure out everything by yourself. No one else can be trusted, so don't let anyone in. Anyone who claims to care is trying to swindle you somehow. Don't let them in. And there are many more where, of course, where that came from. You're not worth caring about. No wonder he left. No wonder you were abused and then tossed out like an object. That's all you're good for. Incidentally, this is why so many men have trouble with the Judeo-Christian worldview. In Islam, okay, it's made very clear from the time you're born, it's made very clear that Allah doesn't care about you, okay? He's distant and other and unknowable, and you, puny mortal, cannot hope to ever be worth his attention. He's busy about more important things. Same goes with all the pagans of every age. The gods do not care about you. If anything, you can be a source of amusement to them for a little while, okay? And maybe, just maybe, if you're a particularly attractive woman, you can, entice one of these gods to sleep with you, whereupon you'll be promptly abandoned to raise the so-called demigod on your own, because, again, you don't matter. That's about it. That's about what you can extract from the pagans, the pagan views of the world. In each of the many religions around the world, okay, the deities in question make sense.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
In each of those many religions, the deities make sense. They jive with our human sensibilities. Why? Because they match what we've seen. Even if we made it through our childhood intact, even if we weren't abused or abandoned or ignored, we know people who were abused, abandoned, or ignored, right? And what we've seen, we've believed. We've allowed lies to wedge themselves in our hearts. You're not worth caring about. No wonder he left. No wonder you were abused and tossed out like an object. That's all you're good for. Anyone who claims to care is trying to swindle you somehow. Don't let them in. Life will be hard, and you have to figure out everything for yourself. No one else can be trusted, so don't let anyone close. You are on your own. You are not prized, you are not loved, you are not now, nor will you ever be, worth anyone's time or attention. None of it matters. We're all just hamsters on wheels, slaves to different masters. It's just how it be. Life sucks and then you die. Welp, that's life. It is absolutely no wonder why people won't touch the God of the Bible with a 10-foot pole. He calls himself Father. He claims to care. I know where that road leads. I have exactly zero interest in going down it again. Right? I want to touch on something that irks me beyond most everything else. We humans can adapt to just about anything, okay? It's a good and it's a bad thing, a double-edged sword in every sense. Part of that adaptability, okay, shows itself. It takes the form of this thing that makes me freaking crazy. Our proclivity for excusing our abusers. Why? Why do we defend the actions of those that have harmed us? Because we can't afford it to be true that we were wrong. I talked about this with some of you on Wednesday in a couple of the different CNR crews, incidentally. I told you to picture your life as a locomotive and a series of tracks. This will come to mind for some of you now. Here you are. Your life is this locomotive, okay? You got this train engine right here. You got some tracks under it, yeah? And you're just laying track. That's what you're doing. Best you know how. You're just out here hammering away, you know? Laying down rail, driving in those spikes. knocking over mountains, clearing a path, grading the terrain, you know? That's what you're doing. You're laying track. And over the course of your life, bad things happen. And you skip sections of track. Or it's abused and broken by somebody outside of your control, the adults in your life. And for many of you, you heard your story here tonight. And you're building your track and you're building it away. And then right there at the infancy of this rail that you're laying, right there at the beginning, there's this big mangled mess from the abuse in whatever form it took on. And you know, plod onward. You continue hammering away and laying track, blood, sweat, and tears, off you go, right? Where's your locomotive? Where's your life? Where's your peace? Where's your well-being? It's back with best practices back there at the locomotive. Oh yeah, it tried to move forward and then it derailed where all of the tracks were mangled. You might be laying some pretty decent track all the way out here. You might be. Like, hey, that's not bad. You achieved this, you accomplished that. You're really kind of making your way. Locomotive stuck. Here's the rub. Here's the medicine. Many of you have been laying track not just inconsistently, but in the wrong direction entirely. And if you ever want to experience the good life, it will mean going back to the place of hurt, back to the wreck. But I'm not here just to tell you what's wrong. You need that first, but then you need the fix. So here's the encouraging bit. As miserable as all that sounds, and I've put this question to many a man. How tough would you have to be? How tough would the man have to be who's been building track in the wrong direction, you know, carving out mountains? You've been doing this for 30 years. How tough does this guy have to be to walk away from that and to go back to the beginning and start over? How much grit does that man have to have? How big do the frickin' brass pendulous balls on this man's gotta be to do something so daunting? Seems impossible. It seems impossible. You hear, this has all been a waste. This does not lead to peace. This does not lead to well-being. This does not lead where you think it does. This way lies ruin. Misery for misery's sake. Actually, you ought to go back and build the opposite direction. I've used an illustration similar to this before. It means going back. How? How do you throw away 30 years of work and go back? Who does that? No, it's called a sunken cost. The sunk cost fallacy says to me, I'm alive still, and I ain't throwing away 30 years. It can't be for nothing. I'm going to continue this direction. But it's the wrong direction. No, it ain't. I refuse to hear any evidence that I'm wrong. I refuse any intellectual, moral, emotional, any argument against my building correctly this direction all these years. I will dismiss out of hand. I will not entertain them in any way, shape, or form. Not even for a moment. Why? Because the cost of you being wrong, the cost of the other person with the arguments being right is too big. It's too big a cost. It's too tall an order. It would take, it'd be a superhuman thing to turn around and to go back. It's not possible. What are your options? Just ruin or dig in your heels? Been going this long, might as well keep at it. So here's the encouraging bit. It's not starting over. You know why? Because your time laying track is not, it's not wasted. Those skills that you learned from laying track, all that track, those skills are transferable. Do you see it? All that you learned about grading, metalwork, right? The time of day to work at, the best seasons for being the most productive, all of that you've learned from your time out there laying track, that's wisdom. That's skill that you now have. And that skill follows you. All that blood, sweat, and tears that track is laid with. That's part of you. It's part of your character now. It's part of the man that you're becoming. What ought you do? Take those transferable skills and start building the other way. What took you 30 years to do this way, okay? What you've done 30 years so far in this direction, it'll take far less time the second time. Far less time. This time in the right direction. So how about you? Did you hear your story tonight? In what ways was your childhood stunted? In what ways were you left unfinished by a father who either could not or would not bestow his greatest gift, the gift of his singular and unconditional love upon you? Men, if you are hearing my words, it doesn't matter how old you are. The boy inside of you still needs to know that he is cherished and irreplaceable. I'm going to ask something impossible of you. Schedule a time for this week. Put pen to paper and answer these questions. Did I have a father with whom I felt safe? Did I know I was uniquely prized by my father? Was I allowed to live as a boy, to experience the life of a boy as it was meant to be? And then to each of those, attempt to answer why or why not. The heart of the boy can be restored, men. We can come to know we are prized, even now. It will not be easy, and it will not be pain-free, not by a long shot. But the right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing. Remember, the door to love and the door to pain are the same. You can close the door off to pain for your whole life. Is it a life thus worth living, free of love? You must choose. I cannot choose for you. I will stand in your corner, yes, but I cannot walk out what you alone must. Be encouraged, though. If you're still here after all we've been through tonight, you're better positioned to face these demons than you've ever been. And importantly, you are not alone. That lie that you had settle into your heart, that you could never be buggered to dislodge, get busy dislodging it. You are not alone, nor do you have to do everything alone. Should you choose it, there will be a community of men, starting with me, who are both able and willing to walk through it with you, no matter what it is. So what does it look like? What does it look like to learn at any age that you are prized, uniquely cherished, unconditionally loved before you've done anything to earn it? What does it look like to live in the peace that comes with that? What does it look like to go back and heal these wounds? Go back and heal the trauma. Go back, reverse, repair the stunting. Go and untangle the tracks and lay new ones. This time, better, faster, more self-assured, more resilient, wiser, with the possibility of love waiting you. Real love. Love that you've perhaps tragically never experienced. What does it look like to do all those things? To be restored? What does it look like these weeks ahead, the rest of this series, if this is where we've begun, if this is just Boyhood? What is this Ranger stage that we'll yet get to? What of the warrior, of the king? If this is just where the pain begins, if this is just where hard mode starts, if this is just the path that we begin to walk, the hurt that we uncover, if this is just the beginning, what might we find as we overturn rocks ahead? Come and see. Come and see. And as ever, I will strive to see that it's a decision that you don't regret. In the meantime, I wish for you each marvelous evenings, mornings, wherever you be. And I will see you on the other side.